Hello there, and welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show with I, your host, AgostinhoZinga, and this is episode number 692. This is 692 of the AgostinhoZinga show with I, your host, AgostinhoZinga, and I hope this podcast is finding you well wherever you may be. I hope this podcast is finding you well wherever you may be. How am I? You know how it is, living well, doing the best I can with the time I have available. I have just before I press record, I actually did happen to apply some much needed moisturizer to my lips. So if you're seeing them a little bit shiny as you're watching the camera right now, then I do apologize. If you listen to this video audio platform, you just hear the splittering and splashing of my very succulent, very moisturized lips, and I don't apologize that for this, in any way, shape, or form, because hey, you got to keep your lips somewhat moisturized. But apart from that, I've been fairly fine. Cannot complain. It's been a bit quiet these last few weeks. I've been locking down, doing some things I need to be doing off stream and whatnot, handling all of that malarkey, life admin stuff. Did have some good news actually the other day. Had a little tax refund pop through the letterbox, which was nice. For some reason, everybody on social media was sharing little screen grabs of their HMRC tax refund that they were getting for paying too much tax the previous year from April to April, right? Of last year to this year. And everyone was sharing little screenshots of what they got. And some people were basically sharing screenshots that they owed the government money, that they didn't pay enough tax. And some people were showing, hey, I got a tax refund. And I was one of the fortunate ones to get a tax refund, which is nice, which means that, it's not money that is crazy, but it's money that I can at least put towards an up and coming trip that I'm going to be doing. So I plan to be going to Berlin sometime, I think in August. That's the plan, just to have a little nice weekender over there. So that will probably go to just, having money for that, making sure I get my flight sorted out, making sure I have accommodation. I can probably get everything in one, to be honest. I can get my flights, my accommodation, my gear, and that's about it. Yeah, I could probably do all that, and then obviously whatever I earn between then and now can be done for spending money, which is pretty decent, because the one thing that I don't do anymore with holidays, because I used to do it before, whenever I used to book trips and holidays, sometimes, and I don't do it again. I'm changed. I'm a evolved human now. I'm way more mature. But in the past, what I used to do is that I would spend the money that I got paid the month before to pay for my holiday and my spending money. So then by the time I came back, I'd have absolutely nothing. Unless I went for a month. If I went for 2 weeks or 1 week, I'd come back with like $0, right? Or I'd come back and have $0 in my account because I literally spent whatever the previous month was on that, whatever it may be, holiday coming up. But obviously the smart way to do holidays is to book them in advance and then, pay off stuff in advance or put money away for certain things, or whether it's like £100 every time you get paid, or £100 every week, whatever, for you for spending money, or whether it means actually booking the accommodation way ahead of time, so that when it comes around you've got all this kind of extra sort of like monopoly money that you use for holiday. Because the one thing you don't want to be doing when you're going on a trip or a vacation is to start like penny pinching and start acting like you're at home. Because when you're at home, you can penny pinch, you can make fucking 20 quid stretch 2 days and whatnot. But when you're abroad, you kind of just want to be free and loose. You want to give people tips and shit. You want to feel like the dying Gorgon. You want to feel like flipping Teflon Don Ricky Ross coming through with the Belvedere and the big gut, smiling, talking about peaches and plums and pears. You know what I mean? That's what you want to do. You don't want to be like, oh, look in your pocket. I wonder if I got that many euros. Like, I've never been that kind of guy. I'd rather stay at home. But that's a mindset thing as well. I remember growing up, I was always that guy growing up. I would never like to go to house parties or to go to any sort of function unless I had like a good little 5, 10, 20, something in my pocket. I'm not going there with coins, but I want some money in my pocket so that I can go home if I want to. I can get my own drink. I can buy my own food, right? I can do something with that money, as opposed to just standing there and doing what some of my other friends would do, where you're just holding another man's pockets. Do you know what I mean? Or you're holding his wallet, like figuratively and metaphorically. Like, and I can't do that at all. Or literally and metaphorically, but I can't do that at all. Zero. I have to kind of spend my own way. So when I go on vacation, one of the things I like to do is to make sure that I have everything sorted out up there, and I make sure my pocket's all good so I can go ahead and have a good time. So that tax refund that I got, super happy about it. So I'm going to be using that for my trips coming up. So that's pretty nice. What's happened? that's been about it, really. To be fair, I've been most of the thing in terms of news online and shit. I've been keeping an eye out for, of course, for the Man United takeover and sell talk, but nothing has been done on that side. We've still been getting loads of propaganda about Mason Mount. I think most people have seen now the Mason Mount signing. As much as it was a Ten Hag signing, there's rumors out there, well, not rumors, but it's been kind of confirmed that Ten Hag has been a fan of Mason Mount since I think he went on loan to another Dutch club, and Eric Ten Hag was the manager of Ajax at the time. He wanted to get him at Ajax when he was there, so clearly he's been watching him for a while and he rates him. And if you listen to the things coming out from Mason Mount's camp, they were, convinced to join United and to leave Chelsea because of the enthusiasm that Eric Ten Hag had towards Mason Mount and the role that he could play in the team. So clearly, he has a really big plan for the guy. So fair enough, innit? Like, managers have to live and die about the signings that they do. If he thinks he's his guy, cool. I'm a little bit annoyed that he gave him a number 7 shirt, but numbers shirts these days don't mean what they used to mean. A lot of teams now just use them as like kind of branding, marketing, type of things, promo, social media shit. And judging by how much Mason Mount content has now flooded the flipping Man United Twitter and social media platforms, you can see quite clearly, as much as it's a Eric Ten Hag signing based on his football ability, it's also clearly a signing that's been made because he fits well on social media. Do you know what I mean? He looks the part, he's English and stuff, marquee English signing, all that good stuff. They love it. Cheeky chappy, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. So that's obviously going to work. So it kind of is what it is. It's a bit disappointing, but I think as a United fan, we kind of know what the deal is when it comes to our club. And that's been about it for the most part. There's not been that much going on. I feel like there's a few things happening. There's obviously a Berlin Pride happening next week. There's a few parties here happening in London that I probably might have to go to. And that's about it. I can't really think of much. Oh, wait, culturally, actually. There's Barbie and Oppenheimer. Hopefully going to be seeing that in a couple of weeks, back to back. So that should be good to kind of check out what those movies are about and see what the hype is. Most likely we'll end up doing Oppenheimer first, then Barbie, have a bit of a downer, then obviously have a little bit of an upper in terms of the Barbie movie at the end. But I'm looking forward to both movies and seeing if they eventually live up to the hype. I have a feeling Barbie will. I think Oppenheimer is hard to get wrong, to be fair. It's hard to fuck up that kind of movie, in my personal opinion. That's a Christopher Nolan movie, right? So I don't think so. He's going to mess that one up. And then, of course, Barbie, I also don't think it's going to be messed up. It's pretty hard to get that sort of movie, not to work, especially based on all the little screen grabs I've seen and shit. I think they've probably done a good job on that one. So that should be pretty decent going forward. But that's been about it for the most part. Oh, and actually, just touching upon this, I've been watching this new TV series out now on Apple. I'm not too sure if you guys have seen it or if you care. It's called Hijack, starring Idris Elba. And it's interesting because I feel like Idris is not at the age yet to be making series or movies like this. Well, it's like a series, but whatever. You'd think that he's, there's a little bit more time left in his flipping heyday at the top of his game before he starts making these type of derivative sort of TV series that people usually make towards the end of their career when they're just trying to stack up the paper. They don't really care too tough, and they just want to make some money and shit. But I have to be honest, it's pretty decent. The premise around it is pretty self-explanatory. Idris Elba stars as this very mysterious character. You're not too sure if he's in law enforcement. You're not too sure if he's in the Secret Service. His kind of cover in the show is that he works as a sort of like a fixer type person, I think, or something towards that. Where he works as a person who comes in and essentially helps to sort out companies when they're going through bankruptcy. When they have to file those of people, he's the kind of person they kind of get in to make sure everybody is calm and chilled and doesn't basically shoot the place up. That's kind of his cover. And he's divorced from his wife. They have a really nice apartment or house somewhere in London that looks really good. Clearly, they come from money. So you're not really too sure if that's the cover story is real. And obviously, he travels a lot, which may have led to the divorce of his wife. You're not really too sure. Don't really say too much about it. But essentially, he's on a plane going back to his wife, who's now moved on. He doesn't want to accept that she's moved on, even though they're divorced. And in the process of that flight, the plane gets hijacked. And the premise behind it is basically him trying to figure out a way that he gets back home without, basically anything crazy going on, and trying to basically befriend the hijackers and shit or whatever maybe. Not gonna spoil much of it else, but it's a pretty decent show. Not gonna lie. Again, I'm very basic bitch when it comes to my TV shows and movies in some regard. Some of the genres of things that I'm interested in, some of the things that I like overall, most people probably won't really give a crap about. I get that, obviously. Idris being the actor he is, he really sells this. He's a big part of why this does really well, because he's just gives such a great performance. Like, he can do these type of things in his sleep, pretty sure. So that pretty much works really well for him. But I do recommend it. If you're struggling for stuff to watch, like I always say this before, my thing is this, right? I know some of you kind of, will scoff at this, but I feel like a lot of us waste our time, myself included. I waste a lot of my time watching and doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing. And there is a real lack of good programming content out there, myself included. There's a real lack of it, right? This is why I'm here, right? So because of that, I think the bar of like good content is really low. So for you to be deemed as good content in my eyes, all you have to do is pass a certain threshold. If you're good enough to watch on a casual Saturday afternoon, on a casual Sunday evening, on a casual weekday, we've got nothing else to watch, and I am not kind of like drawn to immediately grab my phone, I'm not drawn to immediately open a new tab, then you've won. You're a successful show in my regard, because that's usually my barometer or my gauge of if a show is good or not. Did I go straight to my phone because I'm bored? Did I go straight to social media? Did I open a new tab? Am I now listening to something else? That usually tells me everything I need to know about how good or bad a show is. So I feel like this show has done pretty well in terms of providing a decent kind of whodunit. Are they going to figure out who's what they're after? Will the plane land safely? Backstory, blah blah blah. There's a few naff pieces here and there about who's the person that eventually rumbles it and finds out from air traffic control what's going on. It's a little bit, cliche, a little bit girl bossy. But that aside, it's a really good show, and I really recommend you watch it. The only thing I'd say is a little bit concerning for me, and it's just my kind of macabre, wanting ultra-realistic depictions of stuff, and maybe because I'm a fan of series like Gomorrah, and how they, really accurately, I feel like, described and, displayed how it is to work within the drug trade, especially in the kind of quote-unquote modern era. There is a real lack of deaths in Hijack. That's the only thing I'd say. As a slight kind of like, negative on the show, there's a real lack of deaths. Not enough people are dying on this show. That needs to be kind of upped a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic. But apart from that, I like it. I enjoy it. Check it out. Available on Apple TV and all the other places where you kind of check out shows and whatnot. But I have definitely enjoyed it. What people are saying on the chat, big up everybody in the chat hanging in there. I appreciate you guys. Him and Luther was really good. I agree. 90 Day Fiance, yeah, exactly. I don't have a problem with those shows. I don't personally watch them because I'm just not a fan of reality TV. But I completely understand why people are so enamored with like 90 Day Fiance, Real Housewife franchise, Vanderpump Rules, Below Deck, Love Island, because at least you know what you're getting. It doesn't try to like pretend to be anything highfalutin. They're not trying to educate you. They're not trying to tell you something about the world. They're just trying to provide you with unadulterated trash content that's entertaining for like an hour. That's all they want to give you. They don't want to give you anything else. And obviously something to talk about at the walk, because something also you miss with a lot of these good TV series. I've noticed there are some shows that are good, but you don't care about talking about it with your colleagues at work. Like Ozark's a good example. Ozark was pretty decent. But are you really on a coffee, over the flipping water cooler with your colleagues at work or in a pub with your friends, really debating about the ins and outs of Ozark? Not really. It's not as good as Sopranos. It's good enough, but it's decent, but it's not good enough to really extend beyond that conversation. So 90 Day Fiance, all these things, they do a really good job at providing you with good content that does exactly what it says in the tin. It's not trying to be highbrow or anything. And it also gives you something to talk about with your friends, which is really important. And talk about on social media. Big up Hasib. Hasib also said there's no good content. Ago, but when you go live, we're all here. Yeah, big up Hasib. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, no, to be fair, look, I'm just providing my service that I provide online, and I've said this from the beginning. I kind of like compare it to how I enjoy other contents online, other bits of content online. I want to be the best kind of person who provides, I want to be the best background content provider in the world. That's all I want, really and truly. Because I don't feel like I really, I'm not Joe Rogan out here. I don't deserve your undivided 3-hour attention talking about fucking world issues. I'm not that guy. But I'm going to give you a decent enough show for a couple of hours that you can stick on in the background while you do your little chores around the house, while you walk your dog, while you jack off, while you play video games, whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's all I want to do. And if I can do that, I'm fine. But I'm also, very aware that overall content isn't that great. So when I'm recommending shows, I don't want to sell you down a river and tell you, oh, this thing is as good as Breaking Bad. This thing is as good as Sopranos and shit. No. It's good. It's to watch enough, but don't judge it on those sort of barometers or those sort of levels. That's basically it, in my humble opinion. But again, hey, what do I know? Next, going on, talk about this quickly. So, as most of you would know, Instagram, aka Meta, announced and launched Threads, which I spoke about before in the podcast. And essentially, it was billed as the Twitter killer, where basically Instagram were creating their own version of Twitter. And it was an interesting thing to do because I feel like the timing was expertly done, because I feel like it was announced a while ago, but I feel like they pushed it a bit forward or rushed it to kind of get launched because of all the shenanigans happening over on Twitter, where Elon is basically throwing loads of stuff at the wall, trying to see what sticks. But obviously, it's all happening in real time. Plus, he's also not the most likable person in the world. So people are a little bit angsty about Twitter. So they're jumping on Blue Sky. They're going on that other app. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like Spill. That's meant to be like the black Twitter version of Twitter and shit. Everyone's kind of trying to find a place that they can go to that they can kind of get their tweets off that isn't Twitter. And then I think Instagram did a really good thing, because I've always thought to myself, because I jumped on Twitter so late, I know that I'm not unique in that. I know there are some people out there that have Instagrams and have no interest in having a Twitter whatsoever, because I was like that for a while. I didn't even have one to browse on. I think I had one as like a feed that I used to kind of just push out my, podcast episodes and shit, but I didn't really engage in it in the slightest whatsoever. And I know a lot of people do the same thing. So it was very smart of Instagram, to develop their own Twitter-like platform, because they know they've got a lot of users on their app specifically who would never sign up to Twitter anyway, which is probably why that app little update thing that I saw that I thought was terrible, that one where if you go on your DMs, there's like this little status update thing where people can write little things. I don't know what people write on there. They're fucking Dear Diary thoughts. Who gives a fuck? But people think everyone gives a shit about what they have to say. But those things are really popular. Like if I go on my DMs now, I can see loads of people that I follow who have updates on their statuses and shit. So clearly it's something that a lot of people did. So I think they recognized it, saw the gap in the market and capitalized on it. And then they rushed it forward or brought it forward the release date, and now everyone's jumped on it. The one thing I've noticed straight away, though, looking at the app, just in terms of, how would you call it? In terms of how it just looks, right? It's very well done. It's a very beautifully designed. I have to say that. It kind of gives me the idea of like your standard Instagram square, but then imagine the square that you usually put your pictures or your videos or your reels is now just a place where you write your tweets kind of thing. And then the comments are essentially thread replies, on the Twitter. That's basically how it looks. But they've done it in a really clever way, very clean way. I like how it's done. And I think if anything also, it kind of jumps upon the trend of people. I feel like Instagram's turned it a lot like a blog now. It's become a lot like Blogger, where people are having like debates in the comments, like going back and forth. Like someone will post like a topic, and then of course, because on Instagram there's no links, right? So you can't really link out to another article. So you just kind of try and surmise the article you're talking about in your little box. Then people kind of comment on it in the comments, in the replies. So I feel like I keep saying Twitter, has done a really good thing in terms of jumping on that, because there's a lot of conversation that happens on Instagram that doesn't really get out to places because people don't really look at the comments as much as probably I do. Because I love looking at the comments and stories and seeing what people are saying and shit, engage in the temperature. Yes, Natashki is a separate app. That's what I'm going to jump on just now. The only thing I'd say is a little bit iffy about it doesn't really work, is the requirement for it to be a separate app. That's the only thing that's weird in my regard. I think having to download a completely separate app, as you can see there, it's a little app that you got there, is strange. There's no like tab that you can kind of flick over onto your main Instagram that does it. Don't get me wrong, the sign up process is really good and very clean. Very, very good and very clean. So very clean, very easy, whatever, in terms of using it. You don't have to do crazy shit. You're not there having to take a picture of yourself and whatever, take a picture of your passport. It's very easy to kind of use it, and it kind of links to your already Instagram profile you already have. So you basically have to have an Instagram profile to have a Threads profile, which is a little bit annoying in itself because I thought I would be able to get a Threads profile URL that wasn't mine, like a different one. But I have to set up another Instagram profile. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that kind of got you in a bit of a walled garden in that regards. But the process is easy to sign up. And obviously is it the UI, UX? I think it's called user interface. Or let's just say UX. UX, I think, is user design. Is really nice. And I guess the UX is the user interface or US or whatever is really nice also. UX and UI is really decent on the app itself. So I don't really mind it overall. So let's quickly read the article here, courtesy of Meta. It says, Mark Zuckerberg has announced the initial version of Threads, an app built by Instagram team for sharing with text. Whether you're a creator or a casual poster, Threads offers a new separate space for real-time updates and public conversations. We're working towards making Threads compatible with the open, interoperable social networks that we believe can shape the future of the internet. Oh, actually, I take that back. This might not be what I'm seeing in the comments, because there's definitely because I follow a lot of techno pages, a lot of fashion pages, a lot of streetwear pages, a lot of sneaker pages, and there's obviously a lot of debate around shit, right? When stuff is dropping, I don't like this design, that thing is crap, that is good, why did this person get a collab, why is this person playing here? All that sort of debate happens in the comments quite often, right? Cool. But I've noticed with myself, in my own Instagram, I use Instagram mostly for the stories. And when I'm posting on stories, either I'm kind of spam posting pictures and using it like a Tumblr, uploading stuff I find online and memes and shit, or I'm like taking a picture and then like writing some text, like a commentary or something. Oh, this and shit happened, blah, 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 right? And usually people will heart in a DM, reply, but that's what I'm usually kind of doing. So maybe Instagram has noticed people do that a lot, and they said, hey, rather than put it on your stories, we want more engagement on the feed, so we're going to give you a separate app where you can kind of get your thoughts off via the Threads, via the kind of text-based kind of platform. That makes a lot more sense. I kind of get that now. It continues. Instagram, where billions of people around the world connect over photos and video. Our vision with Threads is to take what Instagram does best and expand it to text, creating positive, creative space to express your ideas, just like on Instagram. With Threads, you can follow and connect with friends and creators who share your interests, including people you follow on Instagram and beyond. And you can use your existing suite of safety and user controls. Join the conversation, it says here. You can see what it looks like. You see what someone's profile looks like on there. Basically similar to your Instagram profile, but just a little bit more cleaned up, a little bit more stripped back. Obviously, you see how people are replying here on the Threads with the little replies on each comment, which is pretty decent on there. Everyone who's under 16 will be defaulted to private profile, which is pretty nice in terms of safety. Tone out the noise. We built Threads with tools to enable positive, productive conversations. You can control who can mention you or reply to you within your Threads. Love it. Nice. Feels like fucking Russia. Like on Instagram, you can add hidden words to filter out replies on your Threads that contain specific words. You can unfollow, block, restrict, or report a profile on Threads by tapping the three dot menu, and any accounts you've blocked on Instagram will automatically blocked on Threads. So perfect, right? If you're coming from that side of things. As with all our products, we're taking safety seriously and we'll enforce community guidelines in the content interaction on the app. Since 2016, we've invested more than 16 billion in building up teams and technologies needed to protect our users. 16 billion to protect users. God damn it. Compatible with interoperable networks, activity part, blah, blah, blah. But you get the gist. One thing I've noticed with this, right, is that it's not an Instagram killer. Have you noticed that? I think we've reached the stage in social media platforms or in apps in general where wherever you're on, you're on. If you're on TikTok, you're on TikTok. If you're on Instagram, you're on Instagram. But you're not going to suddenly ditch one for another. Like, I think that people that are on TikTok now were never going to be long-term Instagram users. They were always looking for like a TikTok-y type platform, because if you go on TikTok and see some of the trending stuff on there, the content is very special. And I say that in the most kindest way possible, I can say, right? It's a very special type of person that makes native content for TikTok, right? Cool. That person you are never going to find on Instagram. You may have found them on Facebook or whatever, or you may have found them on some random forum, but they needed that app. So I feel like nowadays people are going to be more drawn to the apps that they want to be drawn to, but you're not really going to get what we had before where certain apps were knocking other apps off their perch. That's not a thing. Either you're for the app or you're not. The people that are on like Blue Sky or Reason, all these other fucking apps, they're gonna be on there, or like Truth Social, they're obviously always gonna be on there. The same goes for people who stream on like Rumble and Kick and shit. They're always gonna be those type of guys. So the era of like, oh, this is a something killer is completely gone. Whatever you like, and you're just gonna stick with it for the most part. For me, I downloaded it. I grabbed my fucking account and shit, but I haven't interacted with it since I downloaded it. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest, and most likely I'll probably end up deleting it from my phone until they end up figuring out a way to integrate Threads with Instagram, like how Uber did with Uber Eats. There was a period in time where you had to download separate apps, but now, if I'm not mistaken, through the Uber app, you can have Uber Eats also, and I think vice versa. So that obviously is something that a lot of people would kind of prefer, as opposed to having two separate apps on your phone, taking up storage, data, privacy information, blah de blah blah blah. But so far so good. I still would say my long-term bet is still going to be on Elon. I feel like Elon is still going to figure out Twitter, because I feel like Twitter, for the most part, people don't give Twitter enough praise. Because Twitter, for the most part, especially under Jack Dorsey's tutelage or leadership, was very much a platform where they tended to kind of skew a certain political direction, right? They had a particular sort of worldview. If you didn't kind of link towards it, you kind of got, taken down and deleted very, very quickly. Banned, blocked, shadow banned, whatever it may be. And it survived and thrived in that era. People were annoyed by it, but you kind of worked around the issues. And I feel like now, because it's a wild, wild west, and maybe it kind of skews another way politically, it's still surviving. So I think Twitter kind of survives despite all the censorship, all the left-leaning stuff, all the right-leaning stuff, all the nonsense, all the porn. It just always ends up kind of chugging along. And I just think because Elon, had to pay over the nose for it, he's going to try and make it work. I feel like if you would have got a bargain for it, he would have treated it like his plaything. Like maybe like he treats the Boring Company and just did whatever he wanted to do with it. But because he paid so much for it, and people would, people way smarter than I am say he overpaid for it, with it paying, I think, 44 billion for the app, I think he's going to try and make it work. And I'm definitely going to say, I think long term, Twitter will still be here. The same way Snapchat's still here. There are kids who use Snapchat who don't use TikTok. That's the thing. So I think people really underestimate the power or the kind of loyalty that some people have to their apps. I don't think it's as easy to kind of jump somebody off of their perch or something, or push somebody off their perch. It's not that easy as it was maybe in the past, personally speaking. But again, that's me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a random guy on the internet talking out of my bubbly ass. So next on the list here to talk about, I'll quickly want to mention this. This is regarding Drake's tour that he's currently on. It's going pretty well, to be completely fair. And one thing that's been really awesome to see about Drake's tour is that how he's been able to honor Virgil Abloh. During his stop over at Chicago, he commissioned this pretty cool statue of Virgil that was built and flipping installed into the stadium where he played in Chicago, basically floor to ceiling, that basically depicts Virgil in the iconic picture of him throwing the paper plane down the runway during his first, Louis Vuitton men's Paris Fashion Week show that he did. The iconic one where he walks down the Paris Fashion Week show and he hugs Kanye at the end and he's crying. The one that's like a kaleidoscope, like a rainbow on the floor, right? It's a really iconic moment for him. And he really, really, really dedicated this to him in a really cool way because, number one, the sculpture's done really well. It actually kind of looks like Virgil. Most of these kind of sculpture type things end up looking horrible. So every commission to kind of get it done did a really good job. The detailing it looks amazing. During the show, the paper airplane itself kind of flies off out of his hand as he's performing, and there's also the added detail of him adding Virgil Abloh kind of designed off-whites that he's kind of wearing their Air Force Ones also. That looks completely awesome. I really do like that. And it's a real credit to Drake because, it's pretty obvious that Virgil and Kanye weren't too cool, right? Weren't too cool when he passed, unfortunately so. despite how, you know, monumental and, you know, and integral they were to both of their careers and what they did to culture, they clearly fell out along the way. And it's been really sad as a kind of Kanye fan and a Virgil fan to see that they weren't as cool as I thought they were, to the point where, you know, it came out that he wasn't, you know, Kanye wasn't invited to Virgil's private funeral. He wasn't allowed to speak at the public funeral that he was invited to. And clearly ever since then, a lot of the family haven't really come out of their way to really, you know, say anything nice about Ye in any way, shape or form. And he hasn't really gone out of his way either to really honor his friend who played an integral role in his success or whatever it may be. We've not really heard him really speak glowingly about him since his passing in any way, shape or form at all, which has been really disappointing. But for whatever reason, Virgil, even though he met Drake way later in his career, it feels like he had a stronger connection with him and has kind of gone out of his way to honor him way more than Ye has, which has been quite nice to see, to be fair. He's really kind of done a good job in sort of like reminding everybody of his kind of influence, his legacy, and kind of, you know, putting that front and center out there, which has been cool to see, because you feel like, as bad as it is to say, because obviously you don't want to put that thoughts out there, but if roles were reversed and Drake was the one that passed, you know, touch wood, it doesn't happen anytime soon, you know, Virgil will be going, you know, be going ham for him in terms of honoring him and making sure the culture knows, hey, this guy was important, this guy was valued, blah, 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 blah. So that's cool to see it kind of being reciprocated in that regard. And again, I just like it because, again, it's Chicago, it's his hometown. It's a nice little, you know, it's a nice little kind of reminder of kind of like the tie-in that Drake has with that state, because of, you know, the influence of Virgil and flipping Kanye in his career and whatnot. And with it just being a one-stop kind of, you know, location thing, I think that was a great way to kind of honor him in that regard and kind of keep it pushing. So I really do see that. Natashki is saying here, the man didn't kill cancer. Why does he need a statue? No, you're right. I think if you don't care about fashion and clothes, this is going to seem weird to you. But to me, to being a fan of the guy, I completely understand it. I feel like if you don't have an interest in that sort of stuff, it's going to look like a bit much. But I feel like for it just being like a one-off thing, for a couple of dates in Chicago, you know, Virgil's obviously from Chicago, Kanye is obviously from Chicago. Virgil played a big part in, you know, Drake's career and success and his design and his music and his outlook and shit. You know, he obviously famously helped to design the airplane that he flipping rides in when he goes on tour and whatnot. Cool. So that connection is pretty decent, and it's just a good way to kind of remind somebody of, you know, or to kind of honor somebody's legacy without it just being a kind of cringy montage kind of thing you put on the screens and shit. So I don't really mind it too tough, but I can understand if you see it as a statue being somewhat symbolic of somebody that meant a lot in culture, and you don't really see that much, you know, what you call it, meaning in Virgil or what he's kind of contributed into society overall. I can see it being a little bit much, but I don't know. I just see it as kind of like a piece of art that happens to be a sculpture, as opposed to it being a statue of somebody very important, right? That kind of is how I see it. I see like a sculpture that you maybe see in an art gallery, or you might see in a public space somewhere, that kind of way, as opposed to a statue, you know, depicting a famous conqueror or something like that. Maybe, but hey, you know, what do I know when it comes to that sort of stuff? So that's been pretty decent to see during Drake's show. One other thing that's not been cool to see, though, has been the performances. I'm not going to lie. It's been a little bit underwhelming. The first thing that I don't really mind too tough is the hologram. The hologram that Drake's got up on stage while he kind of reads and does his little poem thing on the couch is pretty decent, because a lot of people have been really confused. Is this a hologram? Is this real? Is this not? Because in one period of the show, before Drake goes to sit down, the hologram basically hands him this new book of poems that Drake is kind of releasing or has out at the moment to kind of preempt his album drop. So thinking, hold on, how can a hologram hand you a book? Then he sits down and starts reading it next to the hologram, and the hologram's sort of like nodding along to the things that he's saying and shit. So that's pretty decent what they've done there. And I love how they've not even tried to explain what's going on in terms of technology or what's being used. Is it just a person there that has that has a green screen face on or something? We don't really know. But either way, it's pretty spooky. I'll play a bit of the clip for you here.
Take 17 songs. Almost get a Grammy off of that thing, and your boy, man, that boy.
Clip's not really playing, but hey, you can see here. You can see it for the most part.
You get it. operation you dream.
Right? He's moving around doing whatever he's doing. But the only thing that I don't like about the whole thing is the performances. The performances of Drake on the stage are very, very underwhelming. I have to be completely honest in this regard. He essentially is just acting like the hype man of his own tracks, if that makes any sense. I'm surprised by it because I assumed Drake would be one of those performers, similar to Kanye, because he's seen Kanye do it live and he's been there with him performing sometimes, where you see that Kanye kind of like has no vocal backing track when he's performing and he's rapping every single word. He's fucking going for it. But Drake in this regard is acting like the hype man for his own flipping shows and just kind of like ad-libbing on whatever's being said. I'll actually, when I do the clips later of the show, I'll probably put a little clip of it somewhere in here so you can see what I'm talking about because, you know, my computer's not the great in terms of playing clips. But you'll be able to see what I mean. Like, it's not the greatest. I have to be honest. It really does look bizarre how he's kind of performing on this show and how he's kind of doing it. I'm not really the biggest fan of it. It kind of looks a little bit underwhelming in that respect. And you have to imagine paying the price that you're paying to see him perform on stage and then seeing him essentially just jump around on the stage and sort of like and point at people and kind of say a couple of words here and there is a little bit underwhelming in that respect. You expect him to kind of perform a little bit more. It just feels a little bit lackluster in that regard. But in terms of the stage show, I love it. Essentially what he's got is this huge square that basically acts like a screen where you project stuff onto it, or it's like an LED screen box thing that has different sort of, you know, designs and logos and illustrations and videos, whatever it may be, kind of projected on there. And then there's obviously I think they're projections, what they look like, similar to what Travis Scott had, of like UFOs beaming down, looking like they're gonna beam him up and shit. That looks pretty cool. Obviously the Virgil statue is obviously in there as well. All these sort of things kind of work there in that regard. I kind of don't really mind. But the performances of him actually dancing and, you know, whatever and rapping on stage are very lackluster and extremely, extremely underwhelming. I don't really like it. And I really don't think he's really giving you, I feel like, a reason why you should be going to his live shows. If you're just going to stand there and kind of like repeat a couple of words and ad-lib some stuff here and there, I'd rather not go, personally, because it's going to cost a lot of money to see Drake. He's not some kind of, you know, fucking SoundCloud rapper, right? He's the biggest rapper in the world, maybe one of the biggest artists in the world there, maybe second only to Bad Bunny or something. And it's going to cost an arm and a leg to get there. And if it's going to cost an arm and a leg, I want to see a performance that's worth the $100 or pounds I'm going to play. I think, yeah, the tour's called It's All a Blur. The merch is pretty meh to me in that regard. Not really for me. But one thing that's funny, actually, is that Drake does this, right? Which I love. Is that he walks out on stage through, like, obviously it's an arena tour, and he kind of walks out of the place. How do you describe it? The place where you walk out and to go into your seats if you're sitting in your seats, basically. He walks out through the stadium. And he kind of does this really dramatic walk because as you're walking out, you're walking past everybody down the stairs and they were touching you and shit. So it felt like to me, because Drake's always said already, he's in a very reflective mood. He feels very zen. Maybe he's doing some meditation. Maybe he's just really appreciative of his career. But it also feels like he's doing the thing where he's kind of forcing himself to get his own flowers. He's like, you know what? People aren't going to give me the ratings that I need right now. I'm going to give myself the ratings. I want people to recognize my impact and what I've meant to them in their life, and I want to receive that love now. I don't receive it when I'm dead or something. All right, you know, God forbid happening anytime soon. So he kind of is giving himself flowers by hook or crook, by purposely coming out through the crowd and having his security kind of like, you know, let people like, you know, touch him but not get too close and shit. It kind of feels like that a little bit, you know, a little bit. It kind of feels like a little bit like this is very main character energy, like Drake's entrance. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you could have come out any other way. You could have come out and avoided people. You could have come out through, you know, underneath the fucking cube, like fucking Undertaker or some shit. No one could have seen you. You could have done whatever you need to do. But he purposely felt like came out through the crowd to get all that love and attention. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Casey Neistat, the vlogger, right? The famous YouTube vlogger, where for whatever reason, Casey always finds a way to leave in the bits where people are screaming his name down the street. Casey, Casey. Those little things always seem to make the cut. But then when somebody comes to his studio and tries to knock and tries to kind of talk to him, he gets really pissed off and shit, clearly because it's on space. But he obviously loves the attention. But he tries to like not want the attention, you know, like kind of like a weird sort of like push-pull. Like give me all the love, shout my name down the street like I'm fucking Harry Styles, but also don't come up to my studio. You know, that kind of vibe. And it feels like a little bit like Drake's doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I want security to make sure these peons don't touch me. I'm fucking Drake. But also give me all the flowers. Like, let me know how much you love me. That's basically what it feels like. And I can't blame him, to be fair. I really can't blame him. Because he really went full ham and said, you're going to give me my flowers. I'm not going to wait until, you know, that you fucking wait later on for you to give me the flowers. No, give me my flowers right fucking now. That's obviously the statue there. You can see the fucking paper airplane flying out of Drake, fucking Virgil Abloh's hand there. Looks pretty cool. Picture of Drake and fucking 21 Savage are hanging out. So all in all, decent show. But I would have to fucking wait a while to see if I'm really convinced to kind of buy a ticket to a show. Because if you're just going to be screaming ad-libs, I'd rather not, brother. I'd rather fucking not. Talking about artists and talking about touring and how hard it is out there. 100 gecs, man. A group that I'm really fond of and who I really like, to be completely fair, unfortunately having to cancel their European tour. They said we're physically and mentally worn out. And I was thinking to myself the other day, right? I went in a bit of a rabbit hole on my little old Instagram where I post some clips of raves and shit and all that malarkey. Little secret one that I do. And I was going through a little bit of a rabbit hole and checking all the festivals and stuff happening on the weekend. Because some festivals happen 2-day, 1-day ones. And one thing that I noticed straight away was that I wasn't having as much FOMO I was having before in the past in terms of not going to festivals. But one thing I was thinking, man, a lot of these people playing at festivals aren't that great. Most of these people are the ones who essentially I felt like have done it well in terms of their career. They figured out a way to get very popular. And then when you get popular, the popular DJs are the ones that usually get the most bookings in the summer during festival season, because festival season is also kind of normie season. All the normie people who kind of want to go out and want to see the most popular people go out during the summer. So if you're organizing a festival, you're going to book those people in because they're the ones going to sell the most tickets. So it makes a lot of sense, which is why you see the same names in most of these festivals and events, especially if you're from the dance, music, electronic scene like I am. Cool, whatever. So I'm looking at it thinking, yeah, I could do a way better job than this, but I'm also not bothered about not going, not having that much FOMO. But another thing feeling that happened when I was watching the clips online, I was thinking to myself, man, this must be exhausting, innit? Because if you're the popular DJ in this scene and you're getting all the bookings, you're getting all the bookings. So you're playing all the fucking time. It's fucking non-stop. And obviously, if you love the music, you love the scene like I do, it's fucking amazing. But at some point, it's still going to be tiring. You're still going to find it physically and mentally tiring to go out there on stage and perform your arse off every single time. And one thing that's interesting about tours, which I never really thought about until now, the other day, and again, I promise it wasn't a weed moment, but it's the idea that every tour you go on, for you is the same, but for the people attending, it's a very special and unique moment. And it's also a very special and particular moment for you as an artist to solidify your fan base in a way. You're probably going to make some new fans, but you're also going to solidify your fans who are going to help to sustain your career for another 5 to 10 years. So the onus is on you to turn up and do a good job. Because if you can do a decent enough job, the people that attend are going to be your fans for life. And maybe if some new people coming on, they're going to be your new fan. So it puts a weird little pressure on you, because for you, it's any other day, clock in, clock out. For people going, there's a special moment. So you're having this tension happening, this friction, where you just want to just do the bare minimum and kind of get it done and go to your hotel room and sleep. But the people there also want to be given a special one-off, unique show, because they are witnessing you here in their city. They weren't in the other places. All they know is what they're seeing now. So it creates a really strange thing. So that must really kind of add to the, fatigue, both mentally and physically, for a lot of these flipping artists. So I don't really, I completely understand where 100 gecs is coming from, because they are one of the most popular acts out there also within their kind of alternative space. And they must be going through it, to be honest, this summer. So it's courtesy of Pitchfork. It says 100 gecs are cancelling a European tour that had been scheduled to begin October. To our fans in Europe, We are sorry to cancel our up-and-coming shows, but we're physically and mentally worn out. And this is interesting too. They're cancelling a tour at the beginning of October, but they've already been worn out from the shows they're doing now. So that just shows you how unrelenting these guys' fucking tour schedule is. But also, it's a sort of blessing of success. Because when you have no gigs, when you're an absolute nobody, the first thing that you want, myself included, is just more gigs. You want to be booked to play places. You don't even care about getting paid. You just want to be booked to play places. Play in front of people, share your music, share your ideas, have fun, party, blah, blah, blah. But then you reach a point where sometimes the bookings become a little bit of a curse in themselves. They become their own form of golden handcuffs. But really, you can't complain about this because there are tons of people out there, myself included, who will take your spot in a fucking millisecond. So you can't really cry too much. You kind of have to keep it a little bit cute, you know? Have to keep it a little bit cute. So I kind of understand the, frustration that these guys are feeling. It says 100 gecs announced on the European tour in May. Days after wrapping up the North America tour in support of 10,000 gecs. The band began the year with January and February shows in Oceania before spring tours in North America. 100 gecs have a few tour dates lined up in July. They will also open up for Boy Genius at a newly announced show in Hollywood Bowl in Halloween. If I had to open up for Boy Genius, I might end up quitting as well, to be fair. Boy Genius are fucking terrible. See the group's tour schedule below. As you can see there's some dates that were meant to get done. So unless you're going to Australia, New Zealand, or Japan, you're not going to see them. That's a pretty decent fucking tour lineup to go on, though. As a last little sayonara to touring, having to go to Australia, New Zealand, and then quick drop off to fucking, Japan, pretty decent way to kind of end your tour and say, you know what, I'm too tired, yeah? Me too, fatigo, yeah, and just kind of leave it and kind of put your feet up. I can definitely understand, but it's, again, a very unique place to be in. I'm sure there does exist resources out there in terms of like private group chats for artists, because I feel like if you get on Techno Twitter, if you get an alternative Instagram or Twitter and start complaining about these sort of things, you're going to get, shamed by your fans. You're going to get fucking laughed at by people in your industry who don't have any gigs and want your position. So you can't really complain. You have to kind of complain in private, only to people, that are kind of in the same sort of field as you. So again, you're kind of confined and sort of like a prisoner of your own success. But again, I'm not too surprised by this. Again, having gone my little rabbit hole of kind of gigs online and festivals, during this festival season. And as much as I feel like I could do a much better job than a lot of these fucking top DJs out there, I also understand that part of the reason why they're successful is their ability to continue doing those sort of gigs, to be able to play essentially Wednesday to Wednesday sometimes, like multiple weeks, like, do you know what I mean? Gig after gig after gig, after party, and not complain once, and not fucking cry, and just fucking turn up and do their job and keep it going. That in itself is a talent. That in itself is a skill that not many of us have. And that is also the reason why some of the top people get the top money, because they can do that. Because some of us, we stay up fucking past 2 a.m. and we, don't have our 8 hours of sleep and we're crying. These people are fucking not sleeping, right? Through drugs or through just lifestyle choices. And these people are playing a lot. And they're also doing something that people don't really understand also that I feel like is really important. That kind of like energy transferring is very tiring in its own self, right? Being in front of people, having to perform in front of them, touching them, feeling them, hearing them, it kind of saps you of something of yourself, which maybe explains why a lot of DJs, a lot of big touring ones, kind of just want to run away as soon as they finish a show, because you've given so much of yourself through the music, through the set, through you just being there as a person. The last thing you want to do is give more of it away, especially if like needy kind of like wannabe DJs and artists come up like, listen to my song, I want to be booked, can I come to the party? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's too much. You just want to keep a bit of yourself to yourself. So you go to a fucking hotel room and you start fucking abusing young girls or something. Do you know what I mean? That's what they all do. But I understand why you want to keep yourself away from people, because it's just too much to handle. So touring is a weird thing. And again, it feels like the music industry has kind of done it to these artists, because if we lived in a fair world, musicians, artists in general, could make a lot of money from just being able to fucking put their art out, put out their music, put out their albums, right? And they would be completely fine. People would buy them, they'll support them, they'd like it, cool, it's amazing. But because music, streaming, record sales doesn't pay like it should, and the splits are terrible, and it favors more so the fucking digital streaming platforms, then artists are now required to really turn up the touring. Because it's the only way they make money in the live shows. That's the only way they do it. In the DJing world, it's different because, you know, you make music in the hopes that your music blows so that then you can then get more gigs as a DJ, right? I think my fucking guy that I love the most, Rene Wise, being a good example of it. As great as he is as a DJ, he's the one that I think the best out there. I still think a lot of his success has been because of the fucking tunes that he plays. Then you go and see him play and he's a fucking sick DJ. So that can kind of work for you. So I think artists have the inverse thing where the music sells pretty decent, but it doesn't make them good money. So you have to go on road to obviously get the P's, but then on road to make it worthwhile, you have to do a lot of shows. If you're a band especially, you have to pay a lot of people to kind of carry around gear and shit. Whoo! So in order to make that worthwhile, you have to add loads of dates. And then you add loads of dates. That means you spend a lot of time away from home. A lot of time away from home. You miss out on your kids growing up. You don't spend more time with your partner who's maybe not involved in the business. That may affect your fucking relationship. It spirals and spirals and spirals. You miss stuff with your friends. You don't go to weddings. You miss funerals. It's kind of crazy, to be fair. People don't literally think about it a lot, but it's kind of wild, to be fair. It's kind of wild. You know, think about it. If you're fucking Hector Oates' fucking girlfriend, you can't be some girl working reception at a hair salon. You know what I mean? You have to be kind of somebody involved in the industry because that guy's touring everywhere. He's surrounded by loads of fucking ketamine-looking, geofied zombie hotties and shit. You kind of have to be in the scene to kind of make it work and to kind of make it make sense. Because if you're seeing him posting, you know, shaking yourself side to side on the Instagram post while you're fucking on the central line on the way to work, you're going to be fucking brewing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I understand that regard. I understand. Anyway, moving on from that one to talk about this, right? I saw this pretty sick festival online that I didn't know existed. And again, it's pretty decent to check out this stuff during festival season because I got all this stuff that I want to add to my list I want to do next year. So, it's called Stone Techno Festival. And it's based in this place called Essen in flipping, in Germany. And if I'm not confused, I think the nearest airport, I think might be like Dusseldorf or some shit, right? But I know Essen has a football club or whatever it may be. But I'm not really too familiar with Germany outside of Berlin and Frankfurt because those are two places I've actually been to. And obviously I want to go to Munich. But there's this festival called Essen. And one thing that's amazing about it is the location that I want to talk about. The location is fucking incredible. It's in this like weird industrial factory looking place. And there's bits of it that are kind of open air. So you kind of see the sky as you're raving. But it looks like the quintessential place where you would go and listen to techno music. This looks like the place where you should listen to that sort of music in that sort of space. And they host like 1 day, 2 day type of festivals. And I legitimately love it. Like it looks really, really, really freaking cool. And I really want to kind of add it to my list of festivals to go to. This website or this Instagram page called The Third Room, I think are the people that maybe manage it or something. I'm not really too sure how that kind of works. But the festival itself is called Stone Techno Festival, right? And as you can see here, there's loads of fucking big industrial factory looking pipes and, you know, structures and shit and whatnot. It kind of looks like, you know, Chernobyl in some respects. It's obviously clearly abandoned, but I feel like this is the pretty much perfect place to kind of experience techno in all its kind of guises and all its kind of ways. And I feel like how it kind of looks for me is the main selling point of why I would kind of want to go there. And as you can see here, there's a picture of what looks like, it looks like sort of like basically like a factory. Don't get me wrong. Basically, it kind of looks like print works. And there's a bit here that kind of looks open where I think it was raining over the weekend at the recent Stone Music Festival. And all of this place in the middle here was full of water. And there was DJs playing at the back here. So you got people playing and it's got the backdrop of this amazing sort of factory looking out on it. It looks really, really fucking cool. And I really want to go. And as you can see here, loads of cool, interesting people playing and looking amazing. The screens here have some cool artwork, not pictures of the DJs playing. I'm pretty sure Art ART, that concert channel on YouTube, have done a couple recordings of some sets there that I want to check out and see what it kind of looks like. But I also play a little after movie for you to see what the looks. I think that's is that Nora or Naira? Yeah, that's it. Nora. Is that Nora actually playing there actually for real? So big up her. There's another person here. I forgot her name. What's her name there? Salomon here playing. Let's just see the comment here. Persio, the review. Somebody posted here on the comments. Eskia Production says, festival location is insane. Music was world class, crowd was top notch. However, in England, everyone knows Germany as being a country with the best organizational skills in Europe. Okay, you can't hate and then start sucking off, or you can't suck off and then hate. But hey, let's continue. But this festival was sadly the opposite in this regard. So here is some constructive feedback to make next year's event even more enjoyable. Look at this person. Are they involved in the industry? They look like they're trying to give some constructive criticism, obviously, but also try and throw their hat in the ring to get a job. Interesting. Let me actually look in it. Let's just check it out here. They said, nobody should have to queue for 45 minutes to get a drink token unless an online prepayment system like Sonar where you can top up your credit before the festival begins and also refund online. To be fair to this person though, or to be fair to the festival, every festival I've been at, with the exception of maybe one, the queue to get drinks is always crazy. Is always crazy. So this is not really that surprising, to be fair. And to be fair, it's kind of part of the fun of festivals. The long queues, the shitty toilets, like that kind of adds to the whole kind of vibe, personally. As long as the sound is good for me, I don't really care about the rest of it. As long as the stages are well kind of, designed and located and whatnot, all the other things like, long queues at the bar, the toilets being shitty, whatever, I'm not really too bothered about. Another criticism. Even if you don't use online system for vouchers, get rid of the completely inefficient current system where the waiters have to calculate and cross out numbers on a voucher card. This makes bar service even slower. Should be a simple system like 1 token, 1 beer, or 2 token spirit mix. Yeah, that's really weird. That's really strange, to be fair. That's a good point. They're having to fucking do algebra and shit to work out how much you've used. That's a bit strange. It should just be what he said. Most festivals are like that. They'll give you fucking, what's the thing called? Casino fucking, what's it called? Chips or whatever, and you use those. Usually whatever color corresponds to 1 is 1, wherever it's 2 is 2, and you go from there. Or you just use them, based on the token amount. It continues, says, bar service needs to be drastically improved. You can tell this person's a Brit, right? You can tell this person's a Brit. The one thing they're complaining about is the bar. You can tell that we're British people, we like to fucking drink. You go into a festival, instead of going there to listen to the music and dance your face off and meet loads of interesting people and get on it and stuff, he's complaining the most thing about, I couldn't get me drinks. Couldn't get fucking drunk, mate. I fucking love it. Bar service needs to be there. Travel home from the festival was shambles, very unsafe. You need at least 4 shuttle buses an hour. And also the team up with the local cab service so you can have a taxi stand. And again, this is all whatever, man. Getting to a festival is always whatever. Getting home is always the fucking nightmare. It's part of the fun. You get to fucking calm down. You get to fucking chill, sleep, whatever. Find out you lost your wallet. All those things are fun. So I feel like these complaints are a little bit much, to be completely honest. But I'm going to quickly play here an after movie from it to see so I can kind of see the vibe of the after movie from when? Was it this year or last year? I think that might have been last year. Let me just quickly check. No, from this year, actually. From this year. This year's after movie taken from the fucking Stone Techno Festival to see what the vibe was. Because it looked pretty fun to me. And I really want to go next year. It looks really, really good.
It's like the type of thing that I'll remember until the day I die, probably.
This day was actually something different than I expected. So I came to the festival and I saw Adriana playing. I knew she would smash it, and I walked by and everyone's happy and sun shining. I said, did you see what's happening in the sky?
The minute I arrived, it started raining. And it was like, okay, well, maybe it's gonna pull over, It did not pull over.
So yeah, for me it happened in the plane. I had to hold on in the air not to get into the storm.
All right, everyone has to leave. Everything's canceled.
So everybody had to evacuate, and nobody knew if we could restart or not.
I was still like, okay, my set is done, you know, because it was pouring rain when I had to perform.
And then the message slowly started to spread like, hey, we're gonna actually start up again. And seeing the wall of people run towards the stage, it's like an image that I'll probably never forget for the rest of my life.
And then the moment it restarted, it's like a triple excitement from everybody.
And I looked around and I took my hand up and I was waving to people like, thank you. Like, thank you for staying with us and make this happen, because without them, there was also nothing.
To be honest, it was like the best set of my life. I don't think it could have happened this way without everything that happened around it, you know what I mean? It really was like the type of thing that I'll remember.
So it looks pretty fun to me. I don't really mind it. People are calling Narcissus over here, who's really one of the best DJs out there, to be fair. They're calling him Paris Hilton, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, as you can hear from them, there was a little bit of some complications happening because essentially they had torrential rainstorms. It looks like it was fucking pelting it down by, you know, all considerations. And they had to kind of cancel it temporarily because I'm assuming for some health and safety reasons, which is kind of not really the norm. In most European festivals, if it rains, people just soldier through. We are fucking known to love a good party in the fucking rain. We don't really give a fuck. So people are more than happy to stay and chill, whatever it may be. So when festivals do try and cancel or postpone things because of rain, people usually get quite upset. That's the funny thing about it. People don't mind actually chilling and fucking hanging out. So the fact that they had to cancel it, I'm sure people weren't too happy about and probably kind of threw their toys out of the pram about. But in true European fashion, in true German fashion, in true, you know, fashion with techno fans in general, they decided to open the doors again once the weather did clear back up. And luckily for them, everybody came back. Because I feel like sometimes people get a bit annoyed. I think if it's in the UK, people maybe feel like they got, you know, it was like kind of spit in the face and they just go home. But I feel like there, people probably decided to come, you know, come back, give them another chance. We're out here anyway. So that was obviously good to see. But I'm definitely going to add it to my list of places to go because it's basically a one-day festival. You know, from the 8th of July, obviously, I've missed it. Stone Techno Festival. The lineup is pretty sick. Oh no, it's 2-day festival, actually, Saturday and Sunday. The lineup is fucking awesome. Everybody I'd like to see in terms of D-Dan, Anita, Gigola, Imogen, Freddie K, Mohem, Justin Perry, back-to-back with Leah Ochi is a big one I'd like to go see. Patrick Mason, of course, Redhad, Salomone, Stephanie Sykes, I'm a big fan of. Hector Oaks, who I love. Narcissus, obviously, who I mentioned there. Hector Oaks back-to-back with Helena Hauff. All amazing people playing, who I'd love to go see play, obviously. And yeah, it looks really cool, to be completely honest. And it's definitely something that's kind of out of the way. It's not in the usual places that I always am in terms of Berlin and shit. It's in Essen, a little bit different from what I'm usually used to. And yeah, I'm definitely will end up kind of figuring out a way to get there sometime next year when it's on again. There's actually a video here from, 2022 actually, which is a decent little after movie, which I actually will play here. That kind of shows what went down last year to kind of give me a kind of an idea of what I can expect if I do end up going there this time next year. Let's get that played. Come on, son. There you go. Okay, you're gonna play. Come on, mate. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Okay, is it coming? Is it coming or not? Are you coming or you're not? Are you coming or are you not? Okay, maybe it's not coming then. That is a big shame. Maybe I have to fast forward a little bit here. Is it?
I did feel
the vibe of many old coal miners that have dug deep into the earth for the world.
Oh, is that what it is? It's a coal mining factory. An old disused one. It looks fucking incredible, to be fair. There's what looks like a fucking Ferris wheel outside of it also, which is odd. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I just love the site. And this is a thing that I really love about places that aren't the UK. These places exist because we have something similar like Printworks. But for some reason, the fucking local government decides, hey, we want to get rid of Printworks and we want to build some shiny new fucking flats or some nondescript, same old fucking steel and glass co-working space that no one's going to fucking work out of. But they don't want to leave a very unique looking club inside of a print factory that's also been kind of turned into a little cultural hub that's bringing loads of new business around that area. Nah, let's just burn it all down and build fucking nonsense flats. These type of places still exist in parts of Europe. You can do these sort of festivals, these sort of events, and local governments see the utility in you bringing extra people to their area that usually is dead, doesn't have any kind of business going on there. Every summer, they make a bit of extra money as a local economy and that shit. That's really important. I love it. It looks really cool.
To find the resources for us to heat our homes, breathing through, celebrating everything good in the world. The place is insane. There's loads of like little hidden corners as well, which I like.
There's no other place like it in the world because
Man, like that
it's like a national heritage site, right?
And the whole place just breathes techno, I think, in this place with the industrial vibe. Thank you for the invite.
Third room, they're my guys.
And now the kids just want to rave.
I had a good expectation, but when I arrived, this industrial kind of area totally made sense with the Stone Techno project, the music that comes behind the name.
There were so many sounds to choose from. I mean, I could have made 10 tracks out of it.
I enjoyed a lot of the stone sounds and those kind of belly metallic hits. I used this like a top line.
A lot of nice percussive and almost like industrial percussive noise.
They actually were very useful. Normally when you get a sample back, it's maybe 10% of it is great, the rest is not so great, but actually I was very inspired.
I was able to fit it in really well.
I played the track, it smashed it, yes.
I mean, this place is unique in the world. Yeah, I've never seen something like this.
It was my debut and it was incredible. The venue alone is beyond. It's so many hidden corners, so many different floors.
The energy was so crazy. From the beginning till the end, I would love to have that again.
Yes, of course, I would love to come back. How not?
I felt very responsible and also energized. This is the best and the most beautiful location I've seen in my life. And not even like as a DJ, like as a person.
We had a fucking party.
Love it.
The energy and the location is absolutely amazing.
The location is really special.
And I think that's so awesome because this is the right place here for techno.
The crowd was giving me so much energy, so I had an absolutely great time.
An amazing thing I've never experienced before, playing outdoors but yet feeling like we were together in a club.
It's cool when I was young, you hear about Ruhrgebiet, but I never saw it up close like this. It's really impressive.
First time I played in a World Heritage site, so that's one to tick off. The energy of the people is really nice. I think also where Essen is positioned in Europe, then they get a lot of people from the surrounding areas, which I think is really cool.
Multicultural in fucking Germany means loads of different types of whites. I fucking love it. Every different type of Caucasian is multicultural. I fucking love it. We are multicultural. We have people here from Turkey, Romania, Hungary, Czech Republic. We're multicultural. Yeah, I'ma be there holding it down for the icy freeze. Boom, 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 boom. Nigga, nigga. I'll be there. I'll be there. No matter what. Next year I'll be there. But yeah, it looks fucking awesome. I'm definitely gonna check it out. If you haven't seen it before and you are not aware of it, I really do recommend it also to you. I'm sure most of you probably are aware of it because you're way more cooler than I am. But definitely check it out. You know, hosted by the Third Room guys, Stone Techno Festival. Next year, obviously, this one already we missed. Usually it's on a Saturday and a Sunday. It looks like maybe the first weekend of July. That was pretty sick. And I'm all for it. It says here for the first one, it says after hard months work and extensive planning, the Third Room and Ruhr Museum are finally ready to proudly present a full lineup of Stone Techno Festival. 2 days with 50 outstanding artists on 4 super intimate floors at one of the worldwide most unique locations, the UNESCO World Heritage Zollverein. We're expecting ravers from all over the world, and we can't wait to bring them all together at Europe's biggest coal mine complex. Oh, it's a coal mine complex. Interesting. Save your tickets now because sales are running fast and we predict to be sold out. Okay, it's a coal mine complex. That's what it's called, right? UNESCO World Heritage. Let's see what Google says about this place. It's a coal mine. Industrial complex in the land of Nordrhein-Westfalen or something. That's what it's called. Let's see it here, courtesy of fucking Wikipedia. What does Wikipedia say about it? Oh, it looks very, very, very cool there. Zollverein coal mine industrial complex is a large former industrial site in the city of Essen. The first coal mine on the premises was founded in 1847. After the coal mine activities took place in 1851 until December 1986. God damn it. For decades starting in the late 1950s, the 2 parts of the site, the, how do you say that? Zollverein coal mine and the Zollverein cooking plant erected, get it, erected, in 1957 to 1961, closed on June 30th, 1993, ranked among the largest of its kind in Europe. Shaft 12, built in the new objectivity style, was opened in 1932 and is considered an architectural and technical masterpiece, earning a reputation as the most beautiful coal mine in the world. Because of its architectural testimony to development of heavy industry in Europe, the industry complex was inscribed in UNESCO World Heritage List in December 2001. So that's why it still exists, see? That's what we need. Somebody needed to put fucking Printworks as a World Heritage site. Then maybe they wouldn't have fucking turned it into fucking, you know, what you call it, startup fucking co-work spaces. We don't need any more of those. Fucking hell. And it's one of the anchor points of Europe's route of the industrial heritage. Okay, cool. Fairly awesome. Nice to see. Definitely going to go there next year. Adding that to my list of things to go to. On top of Melt, on top of Dre Molin, on top of Houghton. I've got so many things to fucking go to. All I need to do is start making a lot of money. When I start making a lot of money, once I start making fucking, you know, 10 grand a month, you're going to start seeing me going so many places. My vlogs are going to be crazy. I'm going to be fucking like Casey Neistat. Hey guys, here I am in Bora Bora investigating the local hogs. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on Bora Bora time. I swear to God. Bora Bora time. Moving on from that one, let's talk about some other shit that may have occurred. We need to speak about, of course, what happening with fucking Jonah Hill. Unfortunately, everybody in the internet is trying to cancel Jonah Hill for having for having, what do you say, boundaries? Is it boundaries? How would you describe them? Maybe there are boundaries. Whatever it is, he tried to tell his then his ex-girlfriend now how she could basically move, or what made him not comfortable, and for some whatever reason, the fucking ex-girlfriend decided to air him out. Personally, I don't see why this is anyone's business. It shouldn't be, really. This is clearly a relationship issue that they had. I don't see why the internet has to chime in and get involved. I don't think she needs to bring it to social media, but now that she has, we're talking about it, so it kind of is internet business in that regard. But it does basically paint her in a bad light, because I don't think the messages are doing what she thinks they're doing. Because I think in her eyes, she sees it as a form of abuse, manipulation, harassment. Whereas in the eyes of a common sense person, you just see it as somebody having particular boundaries that they would rather, you know, have in their relationship. If they aren't met, they'd rather kind of go separate ways. But it's not really much a controlling thing, as mostly something some people would rather like, some people don't like. But that's just my opinion anyway. So this is obviously Jonah Hill there, and his then ex-girlfriend, this surfer girl, who, to be completely honest as well, just to put it out there as kind of a, to be completely brutally honest, number one, if you're gonna do the whole Jonah Hill's abusive thing, maybe Jonah Hill isn't hot enough to be abusive. Unfortunately, he's lost a lot of weight. He obviously looks really good in clothes, but he's not physically attractive enough to allow women, to allow himself to say what he wants of women. Because having watched some clips of Love Island, I've seen some guys on those type of shows who are very manipulative, very abusive, mentally, whatever it may be, in the things that they say, but the girls let it lie, let it kind of go because they're good looking. They have six packs, great faces, good teeth and shit, nice tattoos. It's okay. But if you're an average looking dude, then you just certain things you can't do. And one thing is that you can't tell what a woman what to do. It's just not going to happen. Average looking men can't tell women what to do. Secondly, I also don't think she's hot enough to be demanding that she's allowed to do what she wants on social media. I don't personally think so. I don't think she's that much of a smoke show that she can do what she wants either. So I think they're both in the wrong in that respect. I think they both need to kind of understand their position in life, look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we're both kind of fives in our own way. We probably shouldn't be acting the way we acting now. That's my own thing. But let's go for the flipping screenshots of what she fucking posted in terms of shaming, what's his face, Jonah Hill. So I guess it goes in this sort of order, right? She posted, or maybe it goes in that order with this one. Yeah, it posted here. Here's the thing she posted. And the lady's called Sarah Brady, right? So, Sarah Brady, she says, this is a warning to all girls. If your partner is talking to you like this, make an exit plan. Love y'all. Call me if you need an ear. And it's funny she's saying call me if you need an ear, because this lady would not pick up your calls. Never in a million years. She wouldn't spit on you if you're on fucking fire. So acting like she is somehow the, you know, the big sister of the internet is fucking ridiculous. But the text is as follows. It looks like it's Jonah Hart. It looks like Jonah Hill says to her in the text, good start. You don't seem to get it, but it's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you've made that clear. And I hope it makes you happy. Then he posts a screenshot of what I guess he's not happy about. Then the next one, another screenshot of what he's not happy about, which shows her essentially surfing in a bathing suit. Not really too crazy, but again, everyone has their boundaries. That's one thing I've learned over the years, right? Certain people just don't play when it comes to relationships. Certain people don't, you know, accept any disrespect about their partner. You can't make jokes about their wives, about their husbands, about their boyfriends or girlfriends. That's just a line you don't cross. If you do cross it, they're going to be punching you up. Or in the relationship themselves, they take that commitment to somebody very seriously. They don't cheat. They don't look other way. They're not exchanging DMs with people on the sly. They're very honest and stuff, but they also expect you to move in a certain way. So I don't really see this as too weird in that regard, because he was very clear, I felt like, in what he wanted. Another text. Literally just say hello and leave the convo. I love how your therapist thinks I suck. Literally, I'm the best boyfriend on earth. Which is fucking insane to say, to be completely honest, right? Calling yourself the #1 boyfriend is legitimately cringe. It's like you getting yourself #1 dad mug, right? It's like you buying yourself #1 dad necklaces, #1 mum. Like, you have to be a complete narcissist to think that way. But anyway. Another one says, you're right. We can't do social things we can't do social things or develop trust until you consider me and make decisions that give me regard to our relationship. I've been vulnerable as possible, and I'm telling you, I'm needing you to step up to the plate, which you can. I'm sure coaching your girlfriend in how to love you, that should be a red flag that you should leave. If you have to coach your partner into how they can love you, maybe leave. Maybe leave, because that's not love language shit. That's just you trying to let them know, hey, this is how I could feel appreciated. If they can't appreciate you off rip, or if they can't make you feel loved off rip, red flag in my opinion. But again, what do I know? It continues. But these losers don't get your time if you don't want me. What? But these losers don't get your time if you want me. Straight up, it's consideration. I love also her passive-aggressive heart reactions to the texts. She doesn't write a lot. Well, she's just sharing what he said, but there's a lot of like thumbs up, hearts, and that's it. She doesn't actually say much, which must be driving him mental. I respect your love for surfing, but I respect myself as well. And your love of surfing and being in those situations and lack of awareness are not mutually exclusive. Huh? That's weird because if I'm not mistaken, I think he met her as a surfer. So now you're telling her how she should surf and how she should conduct herself in that scene. Bit weird. But hey, we move. This isn't just me. I have my own issues that I own. Oh, this isn't me. I have my own issues that I own. If you want marriage and family, you can't use a 25 card. Oh, okay. So she's probably been saying, hey, I'm only 25. I don't know how to act. I'm only 25. Somehow, every time because I'm only 25, my tits always hanging out. My pussy's always on show. It's not my fault. I'm only 25. And he's saying, nah. You better hide that fucking bush. You better hide those nips. And you better keep it fucking very modest on the waves. I want to see you in full hijab on those fucking waves. That's basically what he's telling her. Allah Akbar. If you want marriage, you can't use a 25 card. Step up and cut the shit. These people don't get your time or your kindness at the sacrifice of minds. By people, he meant any friend of mine that hadn't personally approved of. And then I think the ones that actually blew up on the internet were these, right? So Jonah Hill texts his surfer girlfriend the following, who he thinks is maybe too scantily dressed and is, not appreciating his boundaries. He said, plain and simple. This is 2021, by the way. Plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, and again, these are all in bullet points. That's how you know he's angry. Plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in bathing suits, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past, beyond getting lunch or coffee or something, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. There are my boundaries for a romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the way these actions have hurt our trust. Now, on the face of it, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying what he's saying. Of course, what he said, as Natashki is saying in the flipping chat, it is giving selfishness and it is giving insecurity. You can't help how this is kind of going to come across. It radiates insecurity. It radiates, lack of confidence. It radiates, if anything, what this radiates, fat boy energy, really. When you've grown up your whole life being fat and ugly, and you suddenly lose weight, and now you're bagging quote-unquote baddies, your mindset hasn't really changed. You're not really a hot boy in your head, which is why people like DJ Academics are always interested to see with his interaction with women, how he talks about women, because clearly he's always been a dork. He's always been a loser. Maybe he wasn't always as fat as he is, but he's always been a loser, never been somebody that kind of got girls before money. But obviously now that DJ Academics is really successful and got money, he's obviously going to attract women in his life. It just is what it is. More opportunities, more women. And his impression of dating and relationships is kind of skewed because he's had no training or basis of trying to successfully or unsuccessfully attract women when he was like poor and ugly and whatever it may be. And when you suddenly get them, you carry on some of those bits of like bitterness and shit. You kind of carry it with you when you become rich or you lose a lot of weight and then you become famous and shit. It just happens. So this is what's happening with Jonah. But that aside, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with what he's saying, because what he's saying sounds like the same thing some people say to their friends. And I've had some people kind of say it to me in like a roundabout way. Not really upfront, because if they said it up front, I'd have to tell them something's back, which obviously I wouldn't want to do because I'm not really the argumentative type. But I've had some people over the years try and like lifestyle shame me in a way, right? Where they're like, oh, I've kind of grown up. I've got a family now. I've got kids. I'm married. I'm doing this as a career. So now all the things that we used to do when we were younger, I don't do them anymore. and the fact that you still do some of those things to a certain extent, I now look down upon you, and you're like not worthy of my time, or you're like a bad influence. I have some people do that to me, right? And I think it's happened a lot to people anyway in general, because it's kind of like this weird like therapy speak people do with their friends, where they want to break up with their friends, but they can't just like do what we all do and just ignore people or block them. They have to give them this fucking long soliloquy about how they are bad for their lives and make that person feel bad about themselves. Yeah, it's bad. It's for sure bad enough when someone breaks up with you as a friend anyway. It's gonna always hurt. But usually the usual method is that over time you just stop talking, right? You maybe lose touch. So that just happens over time. And then you're not as close as you once were. But these people go a step further and they want to detail you exactly why they're not your friend anymore, and really try and break it down in a way of saying, hey, you're not constructive to a good partnership or friendship, you're a bad influence, all these type of things to make you feel bad about yourself and make them feel better. And it's kind of like a weird therapy sort of speak to kind of justify their lifestyle choices, which I'm not really the biggest fan of. Whereas I feel like in this regard, in relationships, there should be some type of boundary. There should be some level of like understanding of like what annoys a partner, what doesn't, what they expect from what they don't. Like some people get pissed off with their partner liking pictures, with them following people that they don't know, with them DMing or being in contact with past hookups or relationship people. They don't like it. It just is what it is. And I think you as a partner, you should be understandable or understanding of your partner's boundaries. And if you don't like it, cool, leave. But I don't think it gives you the right to kind of air them out and try and frame it in a way of them being abusive. Is he being corny? Is he being lame? Is he acting like a loser? Is it giving small dick energy? All this, okay, cool, whatever. But don't try and make it out to be his abuser, that he's somehow like, you know, he's kind of up there with Harvey Weinstein or some shit. Like, you're going too far in that regard, because there's no real need to kind of show these images, because if anything, what this is showing is that that lady also was maybe struggling in the fact of, you know, you're young, you're hot, but now you're going out with this really famous dude. And I'd imagine if you go out with somebody really famous, regardless if they're hot or not, they kind of want you to be all theirs. I'd imagine. I don't know. Just my head just thinking. I have no idea what happens to famous people. I don't talk to them. I have no famous friends. I'm just fucking guessing. But I would assume, especially if you're going out with a famous dude, most likely, they in their head, regardless of who's hot or not in a relationship, they always feel like they're the alpha. So, you know, they want to take up all of you. So if that means taking up all of you, that means they want to be in charge of all of you also. And sometimes, if you like the fame and the clout and the limelight, you surrender yourself to it and you give yourself to it. Some people don't. But I feel like this girl kind of was struggling with it. Maybe she has her own fan base in the surfing world. You're still 25. This guy's much older. So you're not really that comfortable of kind of giving yourself completely to him. You want to live your own life, but you also want to have that clout of being his girlfriend. So you're kind of, you know, caught in the middle a little bit. But personally, I don't think there's anything super wrong with what he said. I just think it comes across a little bit like your feelings are way too hurt over things that you probably shouldn't be hurt about. Next screenshot here says, take accountability and operate with respect. It's that simple, because I'm tired of your attitude towards surf culture, that contest, that place because I deserve respect. Surf culture? Bruh, didn't this guy just start surfing 2 years ago? Relax. Period. I have been more than patient. Then shit like this is still here. Fuck that contest, fuck that place, and fuck not respecting me always in every situation within surf culture. You don't get it, and you don't get me. It's hurtful and unacceptable to me. Get it? I don't know if you get it or care or give a shit about that shit any more than me, even after Dr. Stern has said it loud. Dr. Stern? Getting your fucking therapist involved is fucking horrendous. But anyway, obviously it's giving, you know, it's giving insecurity. You can't help that. It kind of is what it is. He's going through maybe the same issues that Kiki Palmer, you know, baby daddy issue he was kind of going through. And it also does show the difficulty, the real difficulty in dating when you're famous, really, in general. And why maybe is it's important if you're a dude especially if you're a guy really and you're going out with a woman that you probably wouldn't have access to if you weren't famous and you're average looking, you kind of just have to go with the flow. Really interesting, especially if you decide to go with somebody super young. They're going to do what they're going to do. Their social media platform is their brand. It's their platform to express themselves. Trying to somewhat control what they do on there sounds a little bit insane, in my opinion. Especially when you look at her profile itself. She's not the most, you know, scantily clad girl on there. There's way more girls on social who surf, who are way more suggestive and sexual in their appearance. She isn't like that at all. And if you had a problem with that, it's more so an issue that he has to deal with as opposed to her. But fundamentally, I feel like she shouldn't have shared those text messages. I feel like it's completely over the line. It's really inappropriate. We don't need to know about this. It's none of our business, really and truly, what they do in their relationship, what boundaries he has, what they don't have, don't want to know. And fundamentally, the last point, he's not hot enough to tell her what to do, and she's not hot enough to be complaining about it. Simple as that, really. Sad to say, but I think in this world, having watched clips of Love Island, that's what's been proven to me. If you're ridiculously good looking, you can get away with quote unquote manipulating or kind of trying to control people in a certain regard. And of course, because once one person tries to fucking try you and cancel you, somebody else comes out of the fucking bushworks now. Obviously, another person has now come out and accused Jonah Hill of forcing themselves on her when she was 16. This person from Zoey 101, I don't know what that is because I'm not white. It's a person called Alexa Nikolas, says Jonah Hill forced themselves on her when she was 16 and he was 24. So let's go to the next slide. When it rains, it pours. It says, after reading Sarah Bradley's admirable post, admirable, fuck off. Women are the worst, right? Admirable, you know. She shares some text messages of her friend being her boyfriend at the time being a dick via text message. Relax, bruv. She didn't fucking design the hydrogen bomb. Like, you guys need to chill. About Jonah Hill, I just gotta say, when I was 16, I got invited to a house party at Justin Long's house where he was living with some lame predator actor from CSI Miami. Why don't you name him then? You're naming fucking Jonah Hill touching you up, but you don't want to name the fucking guy in CSI Miami. Clout chaser. I'll look up the name later and find it. Oh, okay, cool. Hashtag Jonah Hill seemed to have his eyes on me because at one point I wanted a cigarette and he said he had one in his car right outside. Yo, this is a classic creep move. You want to come back to my house to play some tunes? You want to fucking go outside to go get a cigarette? Creeps love to isolate. If anybody tries to isolate you, hey, you want to go over here in that corner? You want to go over there in that bush? They're definitely a creep. If they do stuff in the open and they're all over you, they're maybe Mediterranean or straight from Africa fresh off the boat. But if they're trying to take you places, you better run. If they're trying to take you, like transport you, human trafficking style, right? You better run. He didn't seem like too much of an effort, so I trusted him. I went outside and he grabbed the cigs from his front seat. Hashtag Jonah Hill didn't hand me the cigarette, which I thought was weird. And then as we walked back to the door, I asked him for it and he said nothing, but slammed the door and shoved his tongue down my throat. Sorry to laugh, but that is an aggressive move, right? You aggressive move. Maybe a little like bum touch, a little like shoulder touch, maybe a little face touch, maybe coming into their proximity to maybe lean in to kiss or something, but going straight in, that is fucking aggressive. That is predatory, lock you up, throw away the keys, bury you under the jail, put a fucking, a safe over it, cover that with concrete. Like, oh my God, going straight in, tongue. That is fucking wild. Anyway, I was so appalled, I pushed him off and ran inside, sorry. Cool. So, yo, Jonah Hill, man. One girl airs you out because you fucking don't want her being scantily clad when she's doing a little, surfing content online. And then out of nowhere, some girl from a show called Zoey 101 says, hey, remember when I was 16 and you tried to fucking tongue me down? when it rains, it pours, isn't it? When it rains, it pours. I'm not sure what they want from Jonah. He seems very fragile in his terms of like mental state. He kind of quit doing interviews and shit. So I wonder if news came out that Jonah Hill unalived himself, will these people be happy? Is that what they kind of want? Because like none of this stuff is like gonna be getting him in prison anytime soon. We know for the most part, unless you're like have video footage of you raping somebody, he's getting convicted of those sort of stuff is really difficult. You might get publicly shamed, but it's not really going to do nothing to you in terms of, you know, the court of law. Maybe the court of public opinion. People might think of you as a creep. But I wonder what the end goal is for this. Like, what do they want here? Like, what are they trying to expose here? Who was walking around thinking Jonah Hill was like the best boyfriend ever? I don't know. No one really. I don't think no one did. So I don't know what what does. Like, if he does unalive himself, like, what happens? What happens? Do they take personal responsibility? Do they feel guilty about it because it wasn't that big of a deal? I don't know. Either way, white people business, not my problem. Hopefully he sorts it out. And if he doesn't, it kind of is what it is, isn't it? It kind of is what it is. But for sure, that girl is definitely giving a little bit clout chasery vibes. Obviously using a moment for herself to kind of prop up her own, you know, thing, whatever it may be, which is understandable in some regards, considering how hard it is to make it out there. But it's not something that I would be wasting too many of my brain cells on to kind of work out why this is happening, why this isn't happening, because it kind of is what it is for the most part. I think you just kind of have to leave those things where they are and hope people work them out. If they don't work them out, it kind of is their own regard and you have to kind of figure it out on their own self. And we will just kind of keep it moving. But I don't know, man. I just look at that sort of stuff and think to stuff like, why do we need to know about this? Huh? Why? Why are you telling us? Why do we need to know? Why is it our business? Can we not know this personally? But, you know, maybe I'm in the wrong here. Maybe I am the one who's in the wrong here. You never bloody know. Moving on from this, right? Moving on from this, let's talk a little bit about this issue that I thought was pretty interesting. Let me see if I can get it up on here. Bear with me a second here. What's his name? I think it's Christoph Faust. Let me get his Instagram hit on here. Christopher Faust, Instagram. Okay, I think that's him there, right? Is that him? Yeah, that is him. Let's get him up on here. Yeah, Coilo was saying counterculture becoming stuff no one wants to even know or care about, diminishes real issues. Like, yeah, that's the problem I've always had with it. My main issue with, like, I understand the kind of function of counterculture in terms of, you know, like I always say on this pod, like, you know, when you look at fucking rape conviction, you know, percentages and shit, it'll fucking make you super depressed, especially if you know somebody who's maybe gone through something like that. Like, it's heartbreaking. Like, I think in the UK, it's like single digits in terms of like conviction rate. It's like 7% or something last time I checked. It's awful. So clearly there is an issue there in terms of actually holding people accountable who do those heinous crimes. So if you can publicly counsel somebody, right? Fair. Court of public opinion, make them look like a fucking monster, make them lose their jobs and stuff, publicly embarrass them, all well and good. But I feel like some people have now weaponized it as a way to kind of get back at somebody who maybe they didn't like or had a bad experience with, in terms of like, I don't know, maybe if you feel that if somebody gives you the ick, that's not enough to cancel them, in my opinion. If somebody wasn't a bad date, not enough to cancel them. If somebody was a terrible boyfriend, not enough to cancel them. You know what I mean? That's not enough to kind of go out there and start revealing text messages and shit. Like, that's unnecessary. But again, everyone wants their word, you know, their fucking story shared. Everyone wants to be a fucking martyr, an idol, icon. I don't know what it is. It just becomes weird. People are just strange out there, isn't it? But it kind of bloody is what it is. So, let's actually get this up on here. I want to get both things up so I can kind of talk about both. Christopher Faust, allegations. Let's see if I can get up the original ones here. Let's see here. Missing girlfriend. Fucking hell. Okay. I guess that's not the one I'm talking about here. The DJ that was found dead. I don't think that's the one I want. I don't want that one. What is it called? Okay, cool. I don't know what's going on. So let's just go to the main one. So the main thing to talk about here is this update courtesy of Christoph Faust, right? A very influential DJ and producer who had gone through an incident in 2022 where they were accused of some sort of sexual assault. I don't have a link to the original article anywhere here to kind of check it myself here. Let me see if I can find it actually. Maybe I can find the original because I want to see what the original article was and what the fucking deal was. What happened exactly. I can't find it here. Okay, cool. That was maybe why, because his name was before. What was his name? Inhoud de Nacht. Accusations. Let's see if I can find that. Accusations. I can't find it here. Okay, playful. I made so many mistakes. What's this? Maybe this might tell me what I need to hear. I made so many mistakes. Let's see. Assault. Okay, no, it's not on there. Can't find any. Okay, I can't find any articles about the original fucking allegations, to be completely fair, which is really strange in that regard. So anyway, going back to the thing, let's just talk from the beginning. So Christoph Faust, aka Inhoud der Nacht, has come out with a statement here to clear up some allegations that were put against him in 2022. So he says here, my statement. On May 22nd, 2022, I performed at an event in Brett in Amsterdam. Shortly after the event, I was wrongly accused of being involved in an incident of sexual assault that allegedly took place at the venue. Today, I would like to make a public statement that after many months of investigation, hearings and legal processes, I have been fully acquitted of the accusations against me by the Court of Amsterdam. The Amsterdam authorities, for thorough investigation and the court's examination of the evidence and the experiences of the victims shared online have led to the conclusive determination that I could not have been involved in the alleged incident. It is important for me to mention that the police officers who handled the case and the judges were all women. I want to emphasize that this statement, I have no intention of discrediting or undermining the experiences of victims of sexual assault. I am fully aware of the violence against women and the abuse of power that takes place in music scenes and beyond. I do not want this case to become fuel for victim blaming, disregard of the victims' voices, or misogynistic narratives of any kind. It was crucial for me to take time to process the situation and to approach it with empathy and understanding. During this period, I refrained from public appearances, allowing the process to unfold with the utmost attention and respect it deserves. Throughout the year, I was subjugated to harassment, violence online, which was greatly affected my mental health. I kindly request respect of my privacy as I continue to process this experience. Now that my name has been fully cleared, I eagerly look forward to resuming my passion for music and to share that again with you. I sincerely hope that everyone involved in this distressing incident will find the peace and the healing. Signed off, Christoph. Obviously, turn off the comments as people always do, which is a bit strange, but fair play. So, taking it on face value, if he has been accused of assault, I don't really know what the original accusations were. It's an interesting thing to see because I feel like this is probably the best approach I've seen of somebody dealing with a situation that I've seen so far. Because one of the things that's always kind of upset me when these sort of things happen is that they usually happen to people, or usually people that get accused are the ones who kind of run parties, do festivals, or like have a label or something, right? Where by the default of them being accused of what they've been accused of, it negatively impacts people who had nothing to do with it. The artists, people that are going to perform at your shows, people that work there, it kind of essentially puts their job at risk because of something you've been accused of, whether you did it or not. And I always felt like some of these people were very selfish in that they would rather the whole boat sunk down with them as opposed to saying, hey, I understand this situation is serious. Although I vehemently deny those accusations, I'm going to step aside, let my team kind of take over what's happening here so that you know it's not me doing it, and take time to kind of go through necessary legal proceedings, whatever time needs to done to get done, and then kind of come back when all is good. But take the time away to kind of give the people that I'm kind of, you know, representing or leading opportunity to kind of continue on with their jobs. People don't obviously do that. It happened a lot with that crossbreed party. The guy over there obviously got accused of being a little bit of a menace behind the scenes, and essentially the whole thing kind of died. It happened, of course, with Lobster Ferryman. With that guy, Jimmy Asquith, he got accused of some madness, and the whole thing kind of died. And obviously that negatively impacted everybody that was part of it. And of course, the final kind of example will be Possession, right? Possession festival over there in Paris, they had the same sort of thing where a couple of the founders got accused of some harassment shit, and that essentially led to that whole movement going down. But then there's other, you know, rumors out there that it could do to them having loads of unpaid bills and stuff, and them being sued. Who knows? Either way, I would much rather like the people that have been accused to kind of step to one side, let people do their job, so that, you know, not everyone's job is kind of at risk. But then aside from that, I feel like this was really done very well, because I hadn't known about the allegations against Christopher Faust until I saw the apology, because I do remember him changing his name. That's what I remember happening, that being a big deal. You remember putting out a flipping post out there, and he kind of already kind of, you know, addressed why he's changing his name, to kind of get away from the negative association that was associated with his previous name, because that's what the allegations were. I thought that was weird, but I didn't really look too deep into it. But then I also remember, having been out in Berlin a few times, if you've ever been out there, you've probably seen Christopher Faust out and about. He's always out. Whenever I've been there, by hook and crook, I've been out there random times. I feel like I've always bumped into him on the dance floor. Always, you know, having a good time, out with friends, you know, wherever, cheerful. I've seen him out in Berghain a few times. So clearly he hasn't been hiding, right? So that's, you know, somewhat comforting in that regard. It hasn't affected him completely where he's a complete recluse. But he's clearly been stepping away from being like a DJ and being all up in there and kind of pushing in people's faces with allegations around him, which I feel like is a very sensible thing to do. Because even though you know you're not guilty, you still have to kind of move in a way where you're kind of being respectful of the kind of, you know, the seriousness of the allegations, and you're also being respectful of people who may see your actions, if you don't really give a fuck, as some sort of weird kind of microaggression thing, which I think is a little bit weird, a little bit, you know, pussified in that regard. But I understand if you've gone through that issue, why you can kind of feel like if somebody just kind of is gallivanting around town, acting like nothing's happening, how they're kind of spitting in your face. So I felt like he dealt with it in the right way. There are going to be some people who aren't going to be happy, who are still going to think he maybe didn't get exonerated. Maybe they didn't find enough evidence to convict him, so he shouldn't be deserving of a career. But I feel like in some cases, if you do decide to go down the legal route with these sort of things, and the person is found innocent in some regard, they just have to be able to get on with their lives. Now, if certain industries or if certain platforms or certain, you know, clubs don't want to associate themselves with him, fair, it's their prerogative. I'm not a fan of the widespread blackballing of people, picking and choosing what kind of stance to have on certain people and what sort of thing to take seriously and what sort of thing not take seriously. I don't like that. You have to kind of be a blanket rule across the board, and there's a lot of, you know, abusers and stuff in the scene who kind of get away with it and have thriving careers. So if you kind of want to cancel, you have to cancel a lot of people out there. So in that respect, maybe if it's a, you know, platform specific people cancelling him, fair enough. But the fact that he's gone through the process, he's made his, you know, he's gone through the court process, the judicial process, whatever it may be, they've come to the conclusion that he wasn't involved, and now, you know, he's being somewhat found not guilty. I think he should be allowed to kind of continue his career in that regard, because I feel like if that happens, then most likely if somebody is guilty of their crimes, they should go down, they should exhaust all options to make sure that person's convicted. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see people being wrongfully convicted for something they didn't do. But then I also want to see that people that are wrongfully convicted or accused have to be able to get their career back but then that also puts the onus on making sure you catch the real predators and the real abusers out there. That's what obviously should be happening, in my personal opinion. So, congrats, I guess, in some respects, to Christopher Faust. Hopefully, he's able to continue his career from now on, and you can kind of take it from there going forward. But that is some good news for him in that regard, and we'll see how that kind of evolves and develops. Maybe we might hear from the other side of the person who accused, who might come out and clarify some things. I'm not really too sure, but so far so good. Hopefully, that is okay for them in that regard. Next, I want to talk about this because I feel like this is absolutely incredible and maybe one of the most funnest things I've seen in a long time. So randomly, right, this video went somewhat viral on Twitter that features a group of girls who come back from going to the basement, which is essentially New York's version of Berghain. Not really, but it's one of the clubs where they have a door picking policy. They have a no pictures policy inside. They book maybe some of the same artists. So, you know, a lazy kind of comparison to say it's sort of like a somewhat similar to Berghain, but having read some reviews online, it's not really similar or in regard, but it's kind of a best way to kind of describe it. That being said, clearly they have a specific door policy in terms of who they allow in their club. They obviously have particular parties they promote on there that make complete sense. Some people can come, some people can't come. But I guess these girls thought that they could tick all the boxes and kind of get in. They didn't get in, they got rejected, and they're on the bus back home, right? Kind of, you know, mulling over the fucking failed night that they're having, which is always horrible when you go out and you get rejected from a club. Even in a place like Berlin, people always say a lot, oh, if you get rejected from Berghain, it doesn't matter because there's all these clubs in Berlin you can just go to. That's all well and good to say, but still getting denied feels like shit. I've never got denied, touch wood, thankfully. I think, you know, we know why, but I've never been denied. But I'm sure it does feel horrible. Even if you know you could go to fucking Trezor, you could go to Aiden, Club Ost, fucking RSO, all these places around you could go to have a good time, it still feels like shit. And it still feels incredibly personal when somebody rejects you. So I don't blame these girls for fucking throwing a fit and being really upset about it. But the way they did it was fucking hilarious. I'm going to play the video for you now because this might be one of the most... This might be one of the funniest...
So we're on the bus.
Sorry, it might be one of the funniest club rejection things I've seen in a really, really long time. And I fucking love them for their honesty about it because I feel like most people have felt this way, but usually you're embarrassed about getting rejected. So the last thing you want to do is record a video of yourself admitting that you got rejected. You're just going to carry on the night like nothing happened. But these girls are laying it bare and they're making it known that Basement is fucking racist and sexist. So let's play it here.
So we're on the bus because we got turned away from the basement for some miraculous reason. It's queer night. 2 Arabs. Again. But it's a gender neutral space. And we didn't look artsy or gay or POC enough for them. But Barbie got in. Say that again? Two other straight couples. And then they were talking about like you're not wearing all black, some of that shit. Barbie got in pink pants. And what they asked was that like, have you been here before? No. Do you know who the DJ is? Like, we know who the DJ is, but we have never seen them before. Yeah. Bye, refunded. And we were just like, we don't want to get in, but we want to know why. Basement, you are sexist. Like 10 men before us got in. Queer night. Lies. The guy who checked our IDs was good. Everyone else.
Anyway, so as you can see, these ladies were not happy in the slightest. And the honest thing about this is that what makes it really funny to me is that they went to a techno club in the hopes of getting in based on who they brought along with them. So essentially, she's admitting to tokenizing her friends. So she says queer behind her, basically, you know, insinuating that 2 of her friends behind her are queer and that they're clearly not, you know, they may be racially ambiguous. Maybe one is somewhat Asian, maybe one isn't white, maybe she's got a dash of fucking Romanian. I don't know what it is. But I just find that fucking hilarious that she took 2 of her friends who are queer to this club in the hopes of getting in and they still rejected them. And then she's like, oh, 2 Arabs, that means like non-white, thinking that that gives you a pass. And they still got rejected. That's what fucking makes me laugh because that's what you get taught online. If you go online and you listen to these fucking donuts that say, oh, here's how to get into the Berghain, here's how to get into this sort of exclusive club, right? They'll tell you to wear black and to put on a dog collar, to have like a harness on, and to essentially gayify yourself to get into these nightclubs, which is absolutely horrendous, in my personal opinion. The last thing that I would want when I go out is to be wearing clothes that I wouldn't normally wear when I go out. I don't want to put on a fucking costume. That's why I don't go to fucking Halloween parties. That's why I don't go to fancy dress parties. I don't want to put on a costume. I want to wear what I actually wear, naturally. Things that go with my style, things that I kind of, you know, I'm congruent with. So, yes, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. And also, I want to die on my own sword. If I don't get in based on who I am, cool, no problem. But I'm not going to go there and fucking, you know, FAG myself up to make it kind of make sense so I can kind of walk in. That's weird. I've never understood those kind of recommendations. People do that. So people that listen to that kind of advice, this is what happens to you. Because people can smell you from a distance. They can smell your inauthenticity from a distance, especially if you're in the business of door picking. Door picking already is a bit strange of a profession, but if you do it well, the idea behind door picking is that actually you're doing the punter a favor. You're trying to figure out if the person that's coming to the door is a good fit for the night inside. You're trying to help them out. Say, hey, I don't want you to go out there and be freaked out by what's going on because you don't get it. And then you're going to be exuding this vibe of being freaked out. That's going to make people feel uncomfortable in the space that they're meant to be feeling uncomfortable in. So, not tonight. Go somewhere else where you might fit in a bit better. Or where it might be a little bit more to your taste. That's what they're usually trying to do. It's less so about them rejecting you in size, more so telling them, hey, telling you where you could probably go feel comfortable in. Cool, no problem. But surely if you're going to these sort of clubs, you have to do some level of research, some level of fucking op-spec to figure out what's going on. The major sort of red flag for me in this sort of complaint is that they said they didn't know who was playing. I feel like if you go to a nightclub and you go specifically to a big, especially a big popular one that's hard to get into, one thing you should always do is try to acclimatize or familiarize yourself with the lineup. When the Berghain lineup comes out, you know, most of the people, myself included, you're going to try and Google all the names that you don't recognize and figure out if they're people that you want to see and listen to. But you want to get familiar with the line. That's what everyone you usually do. If you're figuring out nights to go out, you know, on the weekend or club nights, you go through the fucking lineups on RA and you figure out what type of DJs match the stuff that you like. Or if you don't recognize the names, you whack them into SoundCloud, hear their mixes, and if you liked it, you kind of mark it down, you keep it going. So the fact that they didn't do that bare minimum of work tells you they weren't really serious about getting in there. They didn't really know what was going on, and they just went there because of the vibes or because they maybe saw it featured on TikTok somewhere. That's maybe the first mistake that they made. And you have to kind of use that to your advantage. So when you go to these kind of places, make sure you kind of know who's playing, and then you kind of go to that kind of idea. But sometimes also, might go and you might just exude, unfortunately, the personality of somebody just doesn't fit what's going on in there. And sometimes it's not your fault. I've been accused, and that's something that sometimes I think I've said before. I think in the past, if I can remember it clearly, I'm not really too sure if this is true, but I think there was a time, maybe I'm misremembering this, but there was a time when I used to go to Berghain when the bouncers would walk down the queue. And if they didn't think you'd fit, they'd kind of tell you to go. And I personally think that should be reintroduced, because when I last went in like June for that fucking Club Sylvester, the special event they do, right? It broke my heart because I was in the queue with a couple of normie guys, like these American dudes, and it was clear to me that they were not going to get in. Number one, they were getting fucking smashed in the queue, which people don't usually do. They were talking a bunch, really loudly, which people don't do also. You kind of have to behave yourself, be a bit quiet. And just kind of being themselves, having fun in the queue that you do in normal nightclubs, right? And I knew that they wouldn't get in, deep down. But we were in the queue for like 4 hours, just standing there because it was a special event. It was super busy, not moving. And I thought to myself, why don't the bouncers come down in the queue? The queue's not moving anyway. And just say, hey, stop waiting here. You're not going to get in. Just leave. Like, you might as well just leave now. You probably won't get in. That would have probably done everyone a favor, but they kind of let you get all the way up to the front and then they reject you. That's the only thing that I don't really like. So I feel like the fact that they rejected them so quickly and said, hey, just carry on with your night is a good thing. Maybe New York, not the best because, I don't know, maybe because the location or fucking basement is super far from everywhere else, so you can't really go to other places. That might be a bit of a bummer. But I feel like the bouncers probably did them a bit of a favor telling them not to go there because most likely the vibe wouldn't have, clicked with them when they went in there, and they probably would have realized a mistake. They made a mistake before whilst they're in there, and it'll be a bit too late. But I want to quickly see actually the reviews of the club itself in fucking Google. It's called Basement NYC. It's located in a place called, is it like Bushwick, Flushing? I don't know. Wherever this place is in fucking New York. I'm not really too sure. Don't kill me here. But the reviews of Basement, it's on Flushing Avenue. Someone says here, 5 stars actually, 7 months ago. One of the best parties I've been to so far. Real dark techno with awesome sound system. We came from Toronto and we had a blast. Another person says we need to get a real in these reviews. Dress in black or dark colors, no big groups, don't ask too many questions, look like you belong there, stop smiling, even don't be on your phone in line, do everything the bouncers say. Yes, it's a vibe base, so work on. Exactly. See, I actually agree with this. I'm not gonna lie. Don't be on your phone in line. Do everything the bouncers say. Yes, it is quote unquote vibe based, so work on your vibe. Once you're in, amazing experience. There's nothing wrong with this. I don't agree with dressing up and pretend to be someone that you're not, but actually trying to improve your vibe so that you kind of match what's going on in there so that you can fucking get in is the bare minimum you should be doing, personally. Another person says here, it's one of the few places where I can dance and immerse myself in music. 1-star review says, most terrible experience at this place. We had a group of 6 people, and when we were waiting in the gate, they directly denied our entry without any reason. They are definitely discriminating against certain groups. They are using a vague so-called vibe check to disguise their discrimination behavior. Do not come to this place. You will be the next victim of the night. It will be ruined. To be fair, putting the entire success of your night into going to one specific club is immensely lame and radiates dork-like behavior, personally. No club, no person can dictate the success of my entire night. I can have times where I go out certain places and it's not to my liking, right? Maybe I'm a little bit annoyed that it's maybe not the best, but it's not gonna fucking dictate my entire night. And most likely, if I have one bad experience, I just won't go back again. I'm not gonna fucking sit there and write a review. But anyway, we move. Another person. Recently had a bad experience at Basement NY. My friends waited in line for an hour, only to be greeted by a manager who asked why we were there. I'm surprised people are getting triggered by being asked why you're there. Surely, if you're that excited to go to a party or go to a rave, right, or go to a club night or to see a DJ, you should, oh my god, I can't wait to come and see, or actually I'm here to see the fucking closer. It's this person, this, like, that's actually quite interesting. Like, why are you here? Why did you come here? Like, you just decided on the whim, just like, come on, man, that's a bare minimum. Anyway, oh my god, it's a fucking essay. When we responded that we were there to have a good time, I think American people have the same thing that we have in England. We don't really do well with door picking culture. It's not a thing. I think that's the reason. I remember reading or watching a documentary on Studio 54. That's part of the reason why Studio 54 kind of crumbled. Studio 54, that documentary, right? It's really good because what it details is that it was first a quote-unquote community space, a kind of a safe haven for the LGBTQ plus scene, right? In some respects. Then it turned into like a celebrity hangout and a cool spot. And then the priority kind of shifted in terms of getting kind of the people in from the community in and more so celebrities. And I think that's what led to the end, because then the regular people got disgruntled, they caused a ruckus outside, and that eventually led to the fucking closure of the club. That is what I think led to it. So in general, America and Britain, we kind of share that kind of similar vibe when it comes to clubs. People just feel like if they have money, they can get in. That's why clubs in central London that have door picking things or make you wait in line and only let girls in at a certain time, they also have bad reviews because people hate that. People just expect if they have money, they can get in. They don't understand the concept of door picking or why it's useful in clubs and shit. They don't get it, which is why it usually only works in certain places like Berlin and shit. And for the most part, other places, it doesn't work because people just don't fuck with it in the slightest. They don't understand. I have my money. Why can't I go to a club? Let me in. You know what I mean? They don't fucking get it. It takes a lot to kind of get them around to it. And even if you do explain it, it still sounds a little bit, pick and choose, discriminatory, whatever. Anyway, we move. it says, when we responded that we were there to have a good time, he abruptly told us to leave, claiming that the club wasn't for us. As an Asian person, I couldn't help but feel discriminated against and targeted for no reason. It was clear that the manager's actions were a senseless attack on minorities, specifically Asian community. Come on, that's a fucking stretch. Come on. Because of your one bad experiences, all Asians are not allowed in the club. Afterwards, we asked the security personnel for an explanation, but they were unable to provide any legitimate reasons for the manager's behavior. They suggested that our attire or my female friend's sequin dress, no Zara dresses, no Zara dresses, no Tod's loafers. Like, nah, you're not getting in with those, bruh. They suggested that our attire and my friend's sequin dress may have been the cause, but everyone else at the club was dressed similarly, not more extravagantly. I'm appalled by to be honest, if your friend is dressing, if your friend has a sequin dress on to go to a techno nightclub, you probably don't know what good clothes look like, or you can't probably discern between what people are wearing. I'm assuming, but hey, I'm appalled by the club's discrimination against Asians and their complete disregard for our time and enjoyment. This experience has left me feeling disrespected and humiliated. I will never return to the Basement NY Club. I urge others to be cautious when considering this establishment, as their treatment of minorities is completely unacceptable. Come on, man. Stretch. Another one says, have come here for a bunch, received very bad experience from the guy at the door, tall black man. Ooh. The black men are racist. He was racist to me and let all my brown friends in line before us, but not one white man. So white man is complaining about not being let into a club. Welcome. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Have a seat. Have a seat next to us. Have a seat. Have a seat. But not one. And decided to let half my friend group in and not and the other half. We were all dead sober. So this is hilarious. Whoever the security guard is at Basement, I'll give you props. He let in all the brown friends and denied all the whites. Well done. We were all dead sober. Very rude. Whenever someone says that, they're lying. Whenever someone mentions how sober they were, they're lying. Basically. Very rude and disrespectful, and did not give us a refund or reason. Very pretentious considering we have come here multiple times. We already had tickets. Last one here. Basement is an abhorrent institution that rejected a group of 5 of my friends for no given reason, claiming it was a private location. Basement claims to be LGBTQ plus friendly community that turned away 6 openly queer people on Pride Night who had tickets for no reason. Bruh, nah, man. If you want to go to a fucking Pride Night, you can't be queer. You have to kind of go for it all the way. Are you gay or not? No queer in between. Queer is another night. Another night you can do the whole queer thing. But if you want to come into a Pride Night, are you gay? Yes or no? If you're not, fuck off. I'd imagine if it was me and I was in a gay club, the last thing I'd want is fucking, ambiguous, I'm not too sure, queer, I kissed the girl on a night out people. Nah, I want gay people in there and that's it. Straight stay at home. That's all you want. It's fucking Pride. It's fucking Pride, man. It's your one night. You get to fucking gay it up. Why do you want fucking people that are like, I kissed a girl once on my staff night at fucking a work party. I kissed Samantha at finance. That's not queer, bruh. That's you just being freaky and a bit horny. Are you gay or not? If you're not, go away. Go to another club. Go to what they called? Go to I don't know, those bars, those cocktail bars that have dance floors in. That might work out for you. Anyway, when we asked for a reason, the bouncer said they might be because we had never been before. Incorrect. Or for vibe reasons. I love that they're saying that on the floor, on the door, because at Berghain, if you get rejected, they just tell you to fuck off, basically, if you ask too many questions. They're not really going to tell you shit. And people sometimes do say, hey, why? But most people don't because they're scared of the bouncer. But if you do ask, they don't really tell you. They tell you after a while, hey, go away. It's my house, you're not allowed in. No, that's what they say. At the end, if you keep going, they'll say, it's my house, I'm not letting you in or something. But I love that the bouncers in fucking New York are saying, you don't match the vibes. You're not a good vibe. Like that's quite insulting. That's actually quite hurtful. Someone telling you don't pass the vibe, aka you're not cool. Go home. Go watch a boiler room set or something. Get fucked. Another bouncer threatens to carry us out of the club and then denied that he physically threatened us. That's not physically threatened, that's just a suggestion. Would you like me to carry you out of the club? Considering the long history of homophobia in club settings, it's absolutely repulsive that this institution will hold a pride night and then have this bouncers physically threaten visibly queer ticket holders. What does visibly queer mean? What does that even mean, visibly queer? Was you fucking snogging Samantha from finance in the fucking line, hoping that'd get you in? Was you wearing a sequin dress? Visibly queer. We were inquiring about the legality of this. Do you know, God, legality? If you care about the safety of queer people in nightlife. Legality, yo. People are such dorks, man. There's nothing more lamer than getting rejected at a club and then causing that much of a stink. You know, the only thing more lamer than that is actually going to a club in the first place. The fact that I go to Berghain and that I subject myself to these fucking techno nightclubs and these clubs in Fold in London and shit, and I'm out here queuing, I'm going to forests to go and party in warehouses. I'm lame anyway. I'm fucking lame, right? Cool. We know that. But in my head, I think I'm cool, but the action of itself is fucking lame. The last thing I'm going to do is start ranting and raving if I don't get in somewhere or if it doesn't match my fucking expectations. I might not like something, cool. I'll say my two piece, but I'm not going to look into the legality of it or, you know, fucking put out a warning signal for people. Don't come here, your safety might get... It's like, come on, man, relax. It's not that deep. Really, it's not that deep. But again, I think most people don't go out with a knowledge of what they want to expect in nightclubs, of what to, you know, no research. They're not going there finding out who's playing. They don't have understanding of the culture of the club, whatever it may be. And they're just expecting to just pull out their wallet, go somewhere and get expected to go into places because they have the money to go in places. And some places are not like that. Some people take a lot more care in the kind of, you know, in sort of like programming the space and make sure everyone sort of fits in the vibe and kind of adds to it. Because unfortunately, the main point of the clubs is most clubs are the same. Apart from the sound and stuff, most clubs are basically the same. The thing that makes and breaks clubs for the most part is the vibe on the inside. It's the community that's in there. And sometimes you can cultivate that yourself based on very strict door policies. And it can be hurtful for some people, but usually in the long run, it does help to kind of make sure the club is thriving and successful and a fun place for people to actually go in there week in, week out, unfortunately. Because that's the reason why people are going there. They're obviously going to the basement because it's a fucking fun time in there, because they've done a really good job to cultivate the fucking, you know, the people that go in there, the community, and make sure it's all good. So it kind of is what it is, really, in that respect. You kind of have to know where you fit in. You kind of have to know where you fit in. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? I actually want to move on to this one, actually. Let me quickly move on here. I need to get a little tissue before I continue. Bear with me. Hay fever always works out here in the short term because guess what? Hay fever never ever stops. And I didn't take my allergy medicines today. So clearly, I have done a big mistake. And I'm really, really upset about it. Very, continuing on from that. Continuing on. What else do we need to talk about here? Oh, let's talk about this quickly. So also this, right? I'm really upset about this kind of in passing. I mentioned, or I just realized and noticed this actually today on the fucking timeline. The rapper fucking Latto is out here in London gallivanting around, doing her hot girl shit, living her life. And for some reason, I don't know what happened or when this happened, but for some reason, the fucking baddies and the hot girls of fucking Instagram have finally found out that fucking New Rock boots exist. Look at her. She's wearing fucking New Rock boots. My metal techno boots of choice that I've been wearing for many years. Because they're essentially a more rugged and sturdier version of a Dr. Martin. They give you a little bit extra height and they're just kind of indestructible, really, and really kind of cool to wear with some of the stuff that I like to wear day to day in terms of some of my pieces from like Vetements and like Rick Owens and Balenciaga and shit. They kind of fit that aesthetic really well, and I've been wearing them for a while anyway. Regardless of that, I used to wear these things with fucking skinny jeans back in the day, but Now, for some reason, all the hot girls of Instagram and the baddies and stuff have finally discovered fucking New York boots. And it's really upsetting because now it means New York boots have become the new Dr. Martens. Or actually, New York boots have become the new Buffalo sneakers. There was a period in time where Buffalo sneakers, the really stacked and thick ones, were kind of counterculture, kind of a little bit edgy. And then over time, they kind of got co-opted by hipsters and shit, and they got turned into the normie shoe of choice. And now loads of normies are wearing fucking Buffalo sneakers. And the kind of cool factor of Buffalo sneakers is completely gone. And now I feel like the same thing's happening with New York boots. And I feel like New York boots were so, I think, aggressive looking, right? And maybe a little bit more out there, that it would kind of put off the regular person, because also they're not the most comfortable shoes in the world. I've owned a couple of pairs, and let me tell you, right, it takes a lot to kind of make them comfy. You kind of have to wear them in a lot, but they're not them, you know, they're not Vans or a pair of Converses. So the fact that she's wearing them anyway and actually loving them clearly is very painful for me, because it's clearly an indication of the popularity of the shoes and the fact that most likely now going forward, I won't be able to find them for super cheap like I used to, because in the past I used to purchase them for cheap, used on, you know, sites like eBay and shit, and get them, especially in my big boy sizes, in all these type of different designs that I'd usually rock and wear and usually kind of parade around town when I go out and party with my friends out there. And I've got a good example for you based on my flipping Instagram post that I posted, what, in 2020, before the pandemic. This might have been the last time I went actually to Berghain before the pandemic, actually in 2020, where look what I'm wearing there. A pair of fucking New York boots I had on. And they were, you know, I still got them now, and a few other boots that I wear also with that kind of garb. But I've been wearing these for ages, way, way beyond 2020. And now I feel like everybody's going to be jumping on them, because clearly they've become the trendy boot of choice. And I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happens, because I always felt, like I said, I always felt like New York boots just looked a little bit more aggressive than DMs, and that the normie average person on road will see New York boots and think they look a bit too goth, they look a little bit too metal, they look a little bit too quote unquote white, and they wouldn't want to wear them. But now it feels like my brothers and sisters have finally found them, and now they're going to become super popular, or the kids are going to wear them, and it's all going to be fucking what it is. And I really am upset about that. I'm not going to lie. I'm absolutely heartbroken about it, and I wish this wasn't true. But unfortunately, my New York babies that I absolutely love and adore have now been co-opted by one of the biggest rappers in the world at the moment. One of the hottest female rappers out there is wearing them and absolutely freaking them. Probably a lot better than I am, to be fair. In this kind of vintage Christian Dior vest top with the kilt and the boots. She maybe kind of kills my look 10 times over, even though I've got some designer on here that you can't see because it's all fucking black and look like a ghost here. But it does look really, really good. So big up her for smashing it. But I am actually a bit gutted that my New York boot fascination might have to be tempered somewhat, because now everybody is on them. Everybody is on them. And that makes me upset. I'm not going to lie. It does make me slightly upset. But hey, what can you do? What can one do? Moving on from that, I want to touch upon this. Obviously this is what it's actually, this is courtesy of Berghain. We finally have the August lineup for Berghain and what they're going to be doing here in terms of the programming, which I'm absolutely excited about, because this is finally going to be the month. I was actually meant to go this weekend, and actually meant to go again next weekend for the CSD, which is essentially like Berlin Pride out there, which would have been good to go to, but hey, it is what it is. So I'll probably delay it until sometime in August. And I'm not going to lie, I'm actually happy that I did that. The month that I want to go in, but there's a couple here that I kind of want to highlight here. So you've got August of this year. You have a couple of standout ones. One that's really interesting to kind of keep an eye on is the 4th of August on a Friday. You got this Cologne night, which features Clara 3000, who I haven't heard Malika Mahmoud, who I don't really know. But coming on from there, we've got this lineup here. The first weekend of August, which is fucking bussing. We've got Blauan playing, Daria. You got GGFM, Franz Jaeger, Kaiser, Renee Wise playing all in the same flipping lineup. And if I'm not mistaken, if you go on Renee Wise's Instagram, he has hinted that he's going to be closing. So if you're a fan of Renee Wise, the fucking Brighton legend, definitely go and check him out on the fucking 5th of August, because he will be closing Berghain, which is a fucking massive honor, and obviously goes to show how well regarded he is, because people are fucking loving Renee Wise lately. Productions, DJing, overall vibe. I'm seeing some of my friends that I'm kind of friendly with in terms of the techno space on Instagram and shit, who are essentially traveling around Europe to go and watch him play in places, which is fucking cool. That goes to show how good you are in terms of the DJ and shit, that people are doing that. That's amazing to see. So big up him. And then of course in Panorama Bar, you've got DJ Minx, Floor Plan, Kay Alice, Karen Nyman here. You've got Nat Wendell, OK Williams, Stacey Hotwax. Then you've got Weirdos Night happening, which is great. Catnap playing there on the Thursday. Lido. And then a Refugee Worldwide Night happening. And then I think the one that I'm interested in mostly, if I scroll down, is most likely going to be, oh, then this Kitten playing as well. God damn it. That's a really good one here as well. Saturday the 19th of August. You got Jacko, Josie Rebel, Kitten, Quest, Rolando, Rog Unit, and Rod Had. That's a stellar lineup. But the lineup that I'm probably looking forward to going to when I eventually get out there will be this lineup on the 26th, which is fucking bussing. It's got Boris, who I haven't seen play actually. All the times I've been to Berghain, he's a fucking legend and a resident, and somebody that's always playing at all the special events there. But I've never actually seen him play, and I'm really curious to see him play because he's a very eccentric DJ in terms of like the stuff that he plays. He goes all over in terms of genres, and he's more of a, you know, he's not like a technically proficient, you know, mixing super tight DJ, but he's more so like a vibe kind of guy, which I kind of like because it kind of reminds me of those kind of old school 80s, early 90s house DJs who sometimes wouldn't just be technically efficient, but would just be able to know how to sequence a good set together. So you got Boris, DVS1, Francois X, who I'm a big fan of, Jazz, who I love, LOL Snake, who I rate a lot, who also is kind of getting a lot of ratings in Berghain, clearly, because she's played a few times there and keeps getting invited again and again and again. So clearly it left a good impression. Luke Hess, Polo Jr., and then in Panorama Bar, which is one of my favorite lineups so far I've seen on there, you got Agnia, you got Gerd Jansen, whom I'm a big fan of, Key Clef, N Buckhammer, who I feel like is very, very underrated in terms of house DJs in that sort of space. Nick Hopner, again, a very underrated DJ. Soundstream, who has, you know, I've played these tracks fucking numerous amounts of times in my sets, always a big fan. And Virginia, who's a fucking legend also, who I'm a big fan of and excited to see. So a lot of really, really good people here on this lineup, and this is something that I'm probably going to be eager to probably go and check out in August. So that's on the 26th. I cannot wait for that. I'm really, really eager to kind of go and see that, because again, it's been a really long time since I've fucking been there. I feel like, even though I think the last time I went there might have been like, was it February? It might have been February last time I've been. I've been kind of avoiding going there this summer because it's so warm and I'm so fucking anti fucking hot weather. But I'm gonna have to give it a go, man. I'm gonna have to give it a go and fucking make it fucking over there. And again, if I can squeeze in doing 2 fucking gigs, I might end up trying to do the fucking Renee Wise night also. But I'm trying to also go to Amsterdam end of the month. I'm trying to do so much that I'm trying to work out. But if I can, I might actually try and figure out a way to maybe just do a quick like fly in over the weekend, stay out, have one night of accommodation, and then kind of fly back on the Monday. Let's see how that kind of rolls and how that kind of works out. But I am looking forward to these nights. But yeah, August is absolutely stacked. For the most part, I feel like August doesn't feel like it's stacked with all the big DJs. It feels like it's stacked with kind of loads of heads that, you know, people that are into the music, into the scene would actually be a fan of. Maybe this is kind of the part of the process because this is summer and everyone's out in festivals, it's hard to book people and shit with exclusivity contracts. But I feel like they're still doing a good job of introducing a lot of people that I haven't heard of, and a lot of people that I have heard of who haven't had maybe a time to shine and be able to play there for a while. Name in question would be someone like a Tornado Wallace, who I initially realized there. Elisa Rose, who's playing also there. Yeah, loads of people that I don't really see playing here often are also getting a chance, which is great, because clearly some of the bigger people they may be steering away from, or maybe are already busy doing other things. But it looks like it's going to be fucking awesome, and I'm really truly excited to go there, and I cannot wait to go there in August. And I think what I might end up doing is probably doing a flying in on the Thursday, so I have a chance to go to some of the other venues, because I haven't been to this other open air space they have there called Else. That looks pretty cool. And a few other places that have a nice kind of outdoory open air type of vibe to kind of check out, because, you know, those places you only can see them in the summer usually, so that might be a good thing to do. And of course places like Club Divisionaire, which I'm always kind of a big fan to check out. But for so far so good. August 2023 lineup looks fucking amazing. Cannot wait to check it out, and you can see it yourself on the Berghain website if you want to check it. Anyways, that's been the accuses Show episode number 692 actually. It's actually going well. 692. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If it's your first time watching my show, make sure you smash the like button for me down below. If you listen to it via the audio platform, all you have to do is share it. Share it. That's what you gotta do. Just share it, and I'll be happy about that. Just share it. I'll be more than happy. But apart from that, thank you for tuning in. Big up everybody in the stream chat here, who's hanging in there, who's still here in the stream chat. Let me see you guys. Big up my Mao mate, who says here, yes, Elsa and Renat also opened a new club called M01. Yeah, oh yeah, true. You can check that out too. Thank you for the recommendation. August lineup is Battle Festival season. It's a sick billing. Yeah, thank you for that. I'll definitely check that out to my list. I've actually forgot. I think I mentioned it on the podcast actually, that new club, M01. So yeah, thank you for that. Big up everybody in the stream chat that was here earlier. 730 Z, who's John Africa, Coiler, and everybody else that was here. Appreciate you. Oh, I saw Rodeo also here. My band, Giza. Big up you. But yeah, big up everybody that hanged in with me. I appreciate all of you. This has been the accuses Show episode number 692. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Again, if you're watching via the audio platform, you'll hear my tune today, and it's gonna phase out now. And I'll be back again later tonight with a random show. If you guys want to hear the comedy-based content, come back then for the random show later tonight. But for now, this has been the accuses Show. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. But for now, take care and be safe. Peace.